2, 3, Rain, talk to me. We're gonna hit a beat and talk about my Eve. Everybody, you
Oh,
know what I say.
God.
I'm gonna do a beat.
Make it
Why,
stop.
Rain?
Rain,
It's
why?
time to stop.
Why did you?
Rock, paper, scissors, right? We don't want Eve to be as simple as shut the fuck up, Seto!
Floods of like memes, and these small gamers are like, we're the elite of the elite. Do not fuck with us. We will kill you. We are the best players ever. It's like, dude, I did your shit. I did it better than you did.
You know what this conversation is like? When I say not enough supers die in Dell, and people tell me, oh, look, there's a super died in Dell. So it's like, when I'm
What are
talking
you
about
even
the balance
talking
issue,
about? We were talking about fucking balance, not supers
Yeah.
dying in Delph.
Look,
Why does
look.
everything with you have to be about supers fucking dying in
Shut
Delph?
up! Shut up!
Christ!
It's an analogy, moron. It's an analogy. Okay?
You guys stop arguing. You act like a fucking married couple. Jesus
No,
Christ.
don't stop arguing.
It's an
Well, it is Trash Talk
I
Tuesday.
was like,
Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome everyone to Trash Talk Tuesday. That's right, you are tuned in to the most toxic show about EVE Online that anybody has ever seen. We will stop at nothing to make you feel uncomfortable, make you feel unloved and unwanted. We hate you, and that is all. That was my cringy speech, Don. Was that pretty cringe?
Was that a goon swarm intimidation?
Yeah.
It was pretty cringe. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. That was a bad speech, but either way, we're here. I'm Redline. We're joined by Rain, Loki, Dirk, Don, Jeremy, Sager, Gurgerin, Marius, and Fry. Tonight we're gonna spend most of the evening primarily talking about some of the crazy shit that's been happening in EVE Online that's not involving any type of wars or anything like that, because, well, any type of player wars, anyways.
Wait, sorry, did you say that there was a player war on? What are you talking about, Redline?
Couldn't tell you. I've been hearing the whisperings, but as far as I'm concerned, it's water under the bridge at this point.
Would have to log in to tell you that shit.
Fuck off, Shager. So, anyways, let's everybody just say hi so that everybody knows that we're here and we all know that the sound is working. Everybody all at once. Hi. Come on, let's go.
Hi.
All at once. Hi.
All right,
Fuck
perfect.
you.
Awesome. There it is. So everything works, and you'll notice we got a little bit of an overhaul, just like some of our friends in game did. We are also joined by our resident quirky AI, Aura, who is now a 3D model, but not a full 3D model, so I couldn't get a fancy portrait for her, but she's not very talkative, and she is here, so if you have questions for her, she might answer them for you. I don't know yet. Just let me know. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat, and maybe she'll answer you.
Question number one, Redline. Why are you calling her Aura? Her name's Aura.
I'm saying Aura. That's
No,
the word
Aura.
I'm saying. Yeah, Aura. Aura.
There you go.
Aura? Aura.
Are you kidding me?
Aura? Or Aura?
It's Aura.
It's
Aura.
Aura.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fine.
Aura Borealis.
Is that what it's from?
I could get ready if you want, but yeah, it's basically it's Aura.
If you want her to Aura you, that's a separate, that's a whole different ballgame.
That's a different module.
The word actually traces back to
That's a
Aura.
TCU upgrade.
I don't
It's
know what you guys are talking about.
Right.
but
Tech,
I-
You want to know what RR means?
That's one of them Tech 3 subsystems right there.
Tech 3 subsystems. Yeah, I'm not familiar with those. Anyways, so where do you guys want to start? I know Dirk's here so that he can talk about his tournament. You want to start with
Not
that,
my
Dirk?
tournament. It's
Okay.
Lore event!
Sothris'
Lore event!
tournament.
The Angler game.
The
Angler game.
It's
Is
not
that
a
the annual
fishing
Eve
jamboree.
fishing competition?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Warcraft.
Matai's a fish enthusiast. I know. Is he changing the Anger games to the Angler games now?
Are you
No,
like
no,
5
no.
months behind?
Like,
think-
Yeah.
That's
sure.
been the name for it since it came out.
I think Aura
Dawn
is.
here is trying to go ahead and just promote her show without making it seem like it's a promotion for her show. She just loves
But
to
it's-
fish on
She's
Thursday nights.
Definitely.
She's never shy to promote her own show.
Well, of course. Why would she
Yeah.
be? It's just a great show.
Dawn has
It's
the
on
show?
Thursdays, right?
Yeah, Thursdays
Good
at
show.
8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what time that is in Eve time.
You probably
Still
should.
haven't learned.
I think Ara might have something to say about that. What do you think,
Okay.
Ara? By the way, you guys can't hear Ara on the Discord unless you're watching the stream, so sorry about that.
Oh, what the fuck?
She said Theta Thursday is the worst show in the history of shows. Is that
That's
true?
not true at
That's
all.
it's pretty toxic, actually.
Wow, they're
We had a really great
I
episode
mean,
with Drake.
it's a really smart AI.
Yeah, I'm gonna
They had a-
trust
he's
the
on
words
par.
of the AI. I
They
think
had a really
more
good show
than
last
some
week. We
rando.
had the Heroes of Amok on.
What
Yeah, the
what
Heroes
is
of
what
Jeremy,
is
you
Theta
owe them
Thursday?
500 million.
Are they too
Uh,
poor
it's-
to collect on it themselves? Are they too weak to come after me?
It's a goo
They've already
knockoff
tried,
of,
but you keep hiding.
Trash Talk.
Ooh.
Hiding?
Hiding.
Well,
Knockoff.
considering they're
Wow.
hiding in the 1DQ constellation and I'm over here running around in their former home, I don't think I'm the coward here. I think that they are hiding from me in 1DQ.
Okay, I'd just like to point out that I did
You know
talk
where
some
we're
shit.
at.
I've also been on Dead Thursday quite a few times, and I like you guys. I was just talking shit.
I mean,
Say, like, I have you on as a guest, and you just want to shit talk me? So unfair.
That's
I know,
so
on a show called
absolutely
Trash Talk
tragic.
Tuesday, how
I
dare
know,
I say
right?
anything bad about anything?
Well, anyways,
Never.
so since we're on the topic of things that don't work quite as intended, why don't you tell us about the Anger Games?
Yeah, Anger Games has been really fun, but yeah, we had some technical difficulties, some teething issues in our first weekend. So that's the weekend before last.
Mhm.
We had some pretty crazy technical difficulties that first day. We had to record with live commentary the first couple of matches so that we could stay on track, on schedule, get things running, and mad props to the EVNT guys and Bay RJ in particular for helping us get back on point with the live stream there on that Saturday, and also on the Sunday as well. Bay helped us out. Bay has since given me a crash course in stream production,
Oh,
and
those never work out well.
well, you say it never worked. It never works out well, but the live stream for the last weekend, that May 1st and 2nd weekend, was in fact brought to you live by Dirkster Teal, and it went not terribly once we got the first few kinks sorted out.
you
I'm
guys
sure
are good.
Rain has opinions on the first couple of kinks that we had to work out.
Yeah,
with, like,
no,
audio
you guys
levels
are
and stuff,
good.
but,
I know I was trying to do predictions, so you guys stayed on schedule, I think, the entire time. Once audio and the cameras are sorted, everything was great.
yeah, and all of those issues were on me. Like my first ever live stream, only doing a major tournament, no big deal. But yeah, it's been really fun, really interesting. We've had a ton of people boundarying. Boundary shenanigans, I think, account for like 75 or 80% of those. Rain, you're on boundary
Yeah.
shenanigans. Can you confirm that for me?
Yeah, so it was my team. We've had, I think, every match we had a boundary violation. The first one was purely accidental. The second one was a dude DC'd, like the moment he double clicked in space, he just his internet just crashed. So he just burned out of the boundary. Then I think the third I'm trying to remember. Oh, the third match, we held a person to be able to eventually tackle him, so that we could have a guy go and boundary violate. And I think it was either the fourth or the fifth we went out. So but
It was the fourth you went out.
yeah,
You
so
managed four.
yeah, so I don't know if they actually boundary violated that one, but we did lose and we're out of the tournament.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
fun.
Sunday, the entire day was elimination matches. That VOD's up on YouTube on the official Anger Games channel. We had like 8 teams go out that day, including some actually relatively big names. Let me just pull up the post that I threw up about that, and I'll give you all of the team names that went out. But yeah, certainly one of them at least was Spectre Fleet. Spectre Fleet have been a name in tournaments for a long while. Odin's Call, who fielded a team called Odin's Voicemail in this format. They went out as well. Ramrod, Rain's team, went out aggressively mid-tier, which is... Oh, I was told just whose team this was, like, 2 hours ago, and I forgot already. Anyway, lots of teams that have gone out of the tournament so far. Somehow the Imperium team has managed to win 3 games. Like, I don't understand how, but there we go. That's a thing. And so yeah, we've got semi-finals coming this
They probably
Saturday.
were able to do it because they can't like warp off. Like when you have that, it's hard to.
Oh my god.
Was that toxic? I'm trying not to be toxic.
If you want to make like war
They're not
references,
focused on the war, so
well,
obviously.
no.
they're
If you want to
winning.
make war references, there is an Imperium or the Goon team, and then there is also a Test team. And if they each keep winning, I think eventually for the semifinals they may, or maybe it's the full finals, they may face each other.
I'm pretty sure it's the
That
full,
would be
full
interesting.
finals.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be gorgeous.
Yeah, we've
And-
also got some like fun what we're calling show matches with some interesting like variations to the rules that are going to be happening this weekend, like in between long breaks between matches, just to give people something to watch while we're sorting out the actual tournament matches. You know, there's a time frame that all of this takes, and so yeah, there's some loose space, and so yeah, you could see a lot of unique ships being fielded in some of these matches and blowing up just for fun because it's Thunderdome and we can do that.
Now, I was watching it, I think weekend before last, because last weekend was kind of rough for me, but I saw that there was, and this, I mean, I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I was curious. There's a lot of time in between matches. What are you guys doing in that time? Like, what's the backstage look like for that?
I mean, the first weekend there actually wasn't all that much time between matches at all. You know, we were talking about doing matches every like 15 minutes, kind of keeping that going. But there's a lot of stuff going on in the background because you've got to take ban submissions, and bans have to be submitted like between an hour and 45 minutes before the start of the match so that they can all be communicated. Teams can have time to like actually figure out the setups that they want to fly. We constantly have referees like building matches. So the way the tournament tool works, a referee has to build a match within the tournament rule set, and then that tournament rule set allows the teams to be teleported into the systems where the matches take place, into the arenas that they warp into and things like that you see on stream. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. We typically have like 3 people organizing matches, so 2 people will be responsible for actually making the matches on Thunderdome, and then another will be purely working on like bans, making sure that everything's communicated, everything's organized. They'll be telling the stream producer when things are ready, and we'll be making sure that gets communicated to commentators so that they can talk about these things properly. There's just a lot of behind the scenes talking about stuff, and I'm sure there's not many people in this channel who I would say have spent too much time around tournaments, but Rain, you've commentated some stuff for like EVNT before, right?
Yeah, I commented
So-
AT 15 and 16.
So you know how it goes with like constantly trying to be fed information and stay up to date. It's a very fast paced process.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mental energy to just stay focused for that long.
Yeah, doing the streaming part I think is probably one of the hardest, as well as the refereeing.
How many people do you guys have running behind the scenes, like running things behind the scenes total?
That kind of depends a little bit on which day and which fires were burning at the time. But primarily we've had like two main referees with like a third referee supporting them or taking the place of another referee if that referee has to ditch. And then we've got obviously Sothrasil, who's been doing most of the referee coordinating. And then I was kind of on that first weekend when fires were burning and the EVNT crew were helping us out. I was kind of gophering between the two and making sure that everyone was informed about what was going on, how we were getting back on schedule, giving them various bits of information. And then Sothrasil and I have kind of taken that off into a private DM for this weekend just gone when I've been producing the stream. So 4 or 5 people who aren't visible on the stream at all times throughout the entire event. So you're talking about like 4 hours a day each weekend. That the first weekend we were talking about closer to 6 or 7 hours in terms of before the stream started, going through the steam and the stream and then debriefing. It's heavy once you actually get into doing the live presentation.
So do you sympathize with CCP? You know, when they claim that the AT was just taking up too many resources, or do you say like now that I've done it, like oh, you know, it's just kind of whining?
That's a very difficult question to answer because a lot of the ability of groups like EVNT to produce the Alliance Open that we saw last November and for us to produce the Anger Games now, a lot of that falls squarely on CCP Aurora, who is a community dev. CCP Aurora was previously Catalia Mist in her player life, and she was the tournament captain of the Brave team for a couple of years. And so she's got a huge understanding of the tournament scene. She's really invested in it. And without her rebooting Thunderdome, which is the EVE tournament server, we wouldn't have these things. Like, CCP Aurora has stepped in and learned to make Thunderdome work in much the same way as CCP Logibro many years ago stepped in and created Thunderdome. Without that CCP support, without that investment from CCP Aurora in her spare time, I want to say as well, like, this is her spare time. And without that support, we wouldn't have these tournaments. So definitely there are CCP resources that are needed to make these things happen. I don't put it on the CCPers, specifically the devs who are interested in tournament stuff. You know, CCP Fozzy, CCP Antiquarian. There's a lot of CCPers over the years who have supported tournament stuff. I don't put it on them at all. I put it on the upper management, the guys who actually decide where the resources go, and I put it on them saying that this isn't worth the effort to keep it running.
I mean, it's definitely worth the effort. I mean, people have been screaming for the AT ever since it was not like ever since it was what's the word? Ever since it was canceled. It was something that
It's never been officially cancelled.
It's been canceled.
It was placed on hiatus, Redline. It's never been officially cancelled. I've been hounding CCPers about an update on the AT either way. They've never said boo to a goose beyond saying, look, we won't be doing it next year because we're going on the world tour.
I mean, yeah, but that was 2 years ago, right? So
it's one of my main frustrations, actually, is in terms of the tournament scene, is that just CCP have never given us an actual update on these things.
CCP Falcon said if they ever got rid of AT, he would quit. CCP Falcon has since quit.
I mean, yeah, you can read into that, but
no, it's not reading into it. He literally said it to me.
Well,
I don't think. Yeah, that's not.
He said that very publicly.
Yes, he said in a public setting, and I asked if I could share, and he said yes.
Other aspects to that, as far as I understand it. But yeah, like just a dev blog to say, hey, look, we're actually more interested in supporting player stuff than doing things on our own at the minute. Even then, I think that would be fine, just as long as they're, you know, actually willing to give people like CCP Aurora the internal support to make it happen. I'd be happy with that.
Right, but you're looking at like what some gamers and minimal dev support to produce something that really makes everybody who plays this game, at least the veterans, super duper happy. It provides interesting video content that can go on YouTube to advertise, at least to some extent, what EVE Online is. Obviously, it's not like a great representation of what the game is, but it is something. It is hyped. It is, I don't know.
Yeah, people got very excited for it. Like I have friends participating in it, and people were like, "Man, this is like a really good throwback to
Yeah,
win the AT."
I was in the Alliance Open for a little bit, and like I fucking loved it.
Yeah, people got really pumped. So I mean, I think it's really great that you guys stepped up and did this. This is pretty amazing. I know it requires a lot of time and resources, but that's really cool.
Absolutely, but like the fact that like random people are able to make this work, like does not really inspire me to like okay, CCP, you're right. The money and the time that you're putting into this is just not no. Like they're obviously going about it the wrong way. There are obviously much more remote ways of doing things, as we've seen. And I mean, I don't know, man. Like it
Yeah,
just
but to do
makes
it
it makes
really
people super
well,
duper happy now. I guess maybe they're not looking at their metrics, in terms of like how many new players does it bring in. Maybe it doesn't bring in new players, but maybe it keeps people like me who've been playing for like 8 or 9 or 10 years in the fucking game and having something to look forward to. And maybe that might actually be worth something. I don't know.
well, you're
I
gonna keep
don't.
playing, dude. Like, regardless, you're still gonna play, whether they have tournaments that they run or not. So,
Oh,
like,
I mean, me specifically, sure,
yeah,
but people that I know who are just disillusioned, they've done everything in Eve, they have all of their toys, and they're done. Like, maybe not, man. Like, I don't know.
I mean, the thing about tournaments that really gets a lot of the people who do tournament play to come back is the different challenges in each tournament, right? Like, for example, Anger Games is very different from the AT setting because it's not a 10-person fight. It's a 7-person per team fight. This Anger Games, we've got T2 drones allowed, which changes up the meta. We've done some things with the Triglavian ships that other tournaments haven't done. And so, they did the Alliance Open that had its own rule set. Now we have this other different rule set. That challenge keeps people constantly thinking about new ways to combine these ships, new ways to play them. But I mean, yeah, just circling back to the CCP thing real quick. Um, the the World Tour had a lot of hiccups in it behind the scenes.
I mean, it had a lot of hiccups like in front of the scenes too, because it
That
was
too,
like they could
but
have done that all remotely if they really wanted to, and just
but
turned it
this is
into like an elongated AT.
this is my this is kind of my point, right? Like if CCP can't use their resources to get their own world tour running smoothly, there's a question of do we even want them interfering too much in that scene. I mean, again, I'd personally rather CCP go like, hey, we want to support player tournaments. We'll give CCP Aurora, these guys who have done tournaments before, they know how it works. Let's just give them the resources that they need to
So
support
here's
player-run
my
tournaments
here's my
rather
big
than
question:
them trying to do it themselves again.
when are we gonna have an ECS, an Eve Online, like championship league, where it's just consistent with like seasons, full on esports style? Who's gonna make that dream a reality for me?
Even T tried it and it was so much effort. The thing a lot of people don't realize, and Dirk probably knows this, is when you do tournaments, you're doing so much that it's very easy to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tried to mention this, but that first Saturday, Saturday the 24th, right? I did a 6-hour shift at work,
Oof.
came home, had an hour's nap, then woke up, was planning on like hosting the live stream. That didn't happen because everything blew up in our faces. That particular day for me ended up being like a 19-hour day in terms of like constantly trying to do stuff. I mean, I love doing this. It's a ton of fun. It's been a really great experience. But at the same time,
It's kind of got to be all you do to make it
I
work, right?
exactly like I've got a day job
Yeah.
that I need to pay
And
the
see,
bills.
I had pitched this to a couple people, like this Eve Championship series or whatever, because if you think about how they do it in League of Legends, right? They have everything's pre-recorded. The only thing that's live are the championships, like at the very end of the season, right? But you don't need it to be live. You just simply record the fights and then broadcast them and have people like commentate on them without knowing the results and commentate on them as though they were happening live, just like they do in the LCS.
There's a difference between Eve player run tournaments and League of Legends, though.
Well, of
And at
course
any
there is.
point, anyone can build their skills playing a simulation of competitive league just by a matchmaking service. But there is no matchmaking Thunderdome. So it's hard to foster that competitive community when you don't have a competitive community player base. Like you have to only have them on Thunderdome when they're actually doing the events.
There are probably
I
not
think
enough players to have queues to even like go there though.
I'm aware of that. I'm not saying that
Right.
that's
Yeah.
something that
I
should
mean, you
happen.
can look at the Abyssal Proving Grounds. It was CCP's first attempt to head in that direction. As it
And it worked
succeeded or
very
failed,
well.
it is debatable, but it's certainly shown that there is not a massive market for this. It is a much smaller subset of the population, or player base, I should say, than many people would like to admit.
Well,
You know,
they
but
need the game to grow substantially.
Theoretically, they could always have like a 7v7 or a 5v5 or something, all like 100% ready at any time. Restrict the fits to like tournament fits, and then have that like your practice ground. If you can't find people to practice with, that sucks. Set it up, queue up at the same time, and go together. Like do that. That could be a thing that works out.
that's very different to like a tournament scene.
Well, no,
though.
he was talking about practicing, like practicing the setting. Like, so say this, you know, we'll call it ECS because that's what my running name was when I was thinking about doing it or pitching it to people. So you've got this ECS that runs for like, I don't know, 6 weeks, and then takes a break, runs for 6 weeks, and then between times, you've got the people who want to practice. They go do it in the practice, like in the Abyssal Proving Grounds. And instead of having like rotations, you just have different queues, or you just always have this constant 5v5 queue that can basically give them the practice. Or they just jump on CC and do it there, which I know CCP doesn't want people to do, but like people do it anyways. There's
Do you
lots of
think?
ways to do it.
Do you think we'll see traditional AT style rewards eventually for the player run stuff like this? If
What do you
CCP
mean
decides that,
traditional?
well, like an AT ship,
ships.
right?
AT ships are. I'm not sure how much about this I can actually talk
Okay,
about.
don't hurt yourself.
Don't
AT
NDA break.
ships. I'm not under NDA. I'm just I don't want to compromise anything behind the scenes. AT ships are an ongoing conversation. In terms of like traditional rewards, though, CCP have committed to skins both for the Alliance Open and for the Anger Games, and CCP Aurora was very clear that were any other player tournaments to spring up for this quote unquote calendar cycle, this yearly tournament cycle, they would also be welcome to have the victory skins for the Eden Comp ships that were created for this year. And there is a rough plan in place to have limited run victory skins for next year's tournament cycle, which will in fact start this year in a not confusing thing at all.
And they are they're special skins, right? They're not skins that you can get anywhere else, right?
They're skins that you can only win. They are like victory skins in the manner of the Alliance tournaments. These are like, yeah, you have to win them rather than being able to buy them on the New Eden store, them being given out as login rewards. And also, there is, CCP supporting various tournaments with Plex and other things as well. Like, these things did exist as unique tournament rewards before, so we have some of that. It's just a question of whether or not CCP are willing to put in, and it's not an insignificant amount of effort to design a new hull for a reward, right? Like, you've got to have a game designer,
unless
make sure
it's
that
just a skin. But I mean, you mean like a brand new hull with different bonuses, like new AT ships?
we're talking about like the Atana, we're talking about like the Rabisu, the Muracha, the Victor, the Vangal, these sorts of things. If you're building new hulls for player tournaments, that's a lot more effort than just having one person from the other team design a cool unique skin, right?
Yeah, I think skins
yeah.
would be. I think skins are a fine reward, honestly, if they're only winnable from that.
I'm
tournament.
down for the skin rewards. I love it.
I mean, skin rewards are fundamentally just ISK rewards, right? Based on market value.
If they are animated, I think that the skin should be animated just in some form or fashion.
Yeah, like the Vegas skins of last year or year before last.
The skins are ISK rewards to some people for sure. I'll openly admit that, but at the same time, like I still own all of the AT skins that I have won in the various ATs that I've participated as part of teams.
Yeah, I mean they could make them
I
redeemable items.
They could make them.
I'm never giving those
immediately
away.
apply.
I'm never selling those. Those are my skins. I won them. I'm keeping them. You know.
Yeah,
that's
skins-
my opinion on it.
Have you applied them to a character?
No, because I don't have characters that fly those ships at the minute. But certainly,
Sounds like to me you're just holding them to your chest until you want to sell them.
that's wonderful. But also, just the other day, I spent 250 million on a bunch of New Eden Open trading cards that are never going to be worth what I paid for them.
They still sell
these
those
sorts
open
of things.
trading cards?
Yeah, New Eden Open trading cards from 2014 or 2013. Whenever that happened, but
the trading card game, the old Eve trading card game.
Like those are never going to be worth what I paid for them. I just like this sort of stuff. I'm a tournament nerd at the end of the day. It's why
Dark, you can't put ISK value to something that is so sentimental to you, man.
Well, I overpaid significantly, I'm sure, but I mean that's how much I paid for that particular collection, and I'm happy with that. They're not going anywhere. I like these things.
And so to wrap up our conversation about the anger games, we do have a poll in the Twitch chat for if you guys think skin rewards will be good enough for tournament rewards. You can vote on that at the top of the chat bar. It's a cool poll. Just vote in it, see what happens. Is this weekend the last weekend for the anger games?
This weekend is the last weekend for the Anger Games. We're going to be live over on the EVE Twitch channel from 18:45 Eve on both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's got some semi-final stuff, so it's got some winners bracket stuff, it's got some losers bracket stuff. Sunday is going to be pretty much entirely dedicated to the finals. The finals are scheduled to be like a best of 5 setup with some interesting ban rules.
And
it's going to be kind of cool little.
Are we gonna be determining who's in the finals on Saturday, or do we know?
We'll be determining some of that. Let me just pull up the bracket real quick so that I can tell you exactly what's going on there.
Just the last thing that I want to know about it is what is the one match that you're most looking forward to, and why is it the test team versus the Goons team?
The thing about that, right, is that the Goon team has to win against Warlords of the Deep, and the test team has to win against Templis Calcif.
So he's trying to say is neither team's gonna win.
I'm not convinced either team makes it to the semi-finals.
Hey, they're already moving forward. It also means the test team has to win too.
So
Goon team's top 6, test team's top 6 in this tournament. Like,
So
this is something that I didn't think I'd see.
Let's say that Goon.
Either I'm cutting out or you're cutting out there, Marius.
I was cutting out.
Okay.
Sorry. Let's say that both Test Team and Goon Team get knocked out. Do you want to, like, between semifinals and the finals, just put them together, see what happens? I mean, it'll be amazing for engagement.
If they both... Right, so we have some plans in place for some show matches on the final couple of days. So there's some gaps between matches based upon the timeline. We've got some plans for show matches with some tweaks to our rule set that some teams are already working on. If both the Goon team and the Test team get knocked out on Saturday, which is a possibility, then certainly I'd like to see that sort of show match. You know, just Goons versus Test anyway, just for fun. That would be incredible based upon our planned rule set.
Could you just make that happen, even if they're not like fighting each other for tournament? Can you just do that show match, like, for the fans?
Could you ask them,
I
like, if they get
mean-
kicked out Saturday, could you ask them to show up Sunday for like an intermission match or something?
We're planning on, like, if they both get kicked out Saturday, we'll definitely be asking them. It's up to the teams, you know, whether or not they've got the members to show up. But certainly, if they both get knocked out Saturday, then absolutely, I'd love to show that. If one or both of them goes to Sunday, then you'll probably see that match anyway.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, if those teams are down for a show match, regardless of the way things go, I'm down to watch it. I'm down to stream it. I think that'd be a ton of fun. I'd love to see it.
Oh, someone's saying hi to Ara.
You keep saying Aura. Pissing
English
me off.
English isn't his first language. Be nice.
Hold on, I have to respond. Be quiet for a second. I mean, Ara has
Hi,
to respond.
Metro.
See, there we go. You all heard her talk.
Hello, I am Aura.
That's not. That's not how. Aura
How do you do?
That's not how she talks. Stop it.
Doesn't
Bill.
have it.
Dude, it sounds so much like her. Can't believe you finally got that to work on Discord.
Your capacitor is empty. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, jeez. I can.
Can I get a low-key chocolate chips?
Voice actors in here.
Please, more pylons. Wrong game. I'm sorry.
Your capacity is empty.
Additional pylons.
All right.
Oh wait, my bad.
Anyways, let's move on from the tournament talk because we talked about it. So this weekend, starting at 18:45 on the EVNT channel, is the last weekend of the Anger Games. So make sure that you tune in and watch those. Dirk will be there.
Yeah.
I will be there in the chat screaming for the boys in Test to win. And of course, you're welcome to do that if you want to not root for the Test team. I mean, you can go fuck yourself. I don't really mind. Anyways, so next up on the topic list tonight, I want to talk about LowSec because LowSec is having some dangerous stuff happening right now. And I've heard that there's been some big conversations about it. Vry, you said that you had a big talk about it. What's your thought on like this empire war or this empire attacks and all that stuff? What do you think's gonna happen?
You know that it's still in the early stages of like kind of what's possible. Like, will new gates be opening up between regions? Will Stained finally get the gate that it's so long deserved? Because everyone knows logistics into and out of there are terrible.
Liara,
but yeah,
you're
I
a
mean,
beautiful
like,
butterfly.
it should be interesting. Like, I'm crossing my fingers that they don't screw it up like they did the Pochven, the Trig stuff, like where it just was completely unusable for the better part of a year. But it might bring some interesting content as far as, like I know Rocket X's big morale speech to his boys, and like maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, he said that Pochven killed Snuffed Out's content, which is untrue because we just kill our own content. There's no way CCP can do that for us. But that being said, like I mean, no, I mean it really didn't. And I think maybe we'll see a revitalization. Maybe this is the big go to revamp faction warfare, which would be really cool because like those guys do some pretty cool stuff. So we don't really participate in it, but it's neat to have them do their stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be good content. Maybe it'll get screwed up like usual. But if I go in with low expectations, I can't be disappointed.
Oh, I didn't think about that being a connection to faction warfare.
Rundle All-Nighter is a handsome gentleman.
Yeah, like that's actually it. I am semi like thinking about it and was like maybe this is them like attempting that, right? Maybe a revamp of that.
Yeah, right. I beg to differ, though, my friend. You guys do participate in faction warfare. You just participate from a arms dealer standpoint.
That's right. We sell
Right.
guns and tanks to both sides.
Yeah, I was in faction warfare back then. I understand what
That's
happened.
true. We are the dirty Russian arms dealers of faction
War
warfare.
profiteers. Yeah.
The Nicolas Cages of Lord of War.
That's exactly right.
So
Actually,
the
go ahead.
biggest thing that I've seen, so we haven't really seen any kind of like actions like this for a while, where the empires are fighting each other like this, like blasting planets with the dreadnoughts. It seems to me like there's no way that they don't do something that involves some sort of either a revamp to faction warfare or a new incentive for people to come into LoSec and do faction warfare stuff.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of folds in, and Loki can agree or disagree with me on the point, but like looking at the revamping of moon materials and stuff that's required for building capitals, right? They're expanding it into LoSec, so that makes LoSec control more important, right, for big groups because their resources now will actually have to come out of LoSec. So maybe we'll see big groups get involved in faction warfare, or have a faction warfare wing. I don't know. It could be interesting.
Are they tying the capital construction? I mean, I missed this news,
Yes.
but they're tying the capital construction to your standings with the local LoSec.
No. Bill, basically what's happening is that there's a LoSec gases.
I know.
Maiko Rosen and Saito Rosen. I'm sure you've heard about this, Bill.
Yeah, I know about that.
That's what he's talking about. The control of
No.
LoSec is like him trying to cartel it up. That's all, Bill.
I wonder if they're going to go for a type of situation where you can flip high-sec to low-sec for temporary.
Right.
I mean, they did.
I want to see that.
Yeah,
they
that's
did
what we're
implement
thinking.
true sec like variability recently, so I think that's possible. But from what we've heard from a dev blog, I feel like this is going to be much more about opening and closing.
I'm gonna throw a little tinfoil out there, a little conspiratorial.
Like the usual.
I think the devs have figured out some of this code that's been holding them back for so many years. Because if you're starting to see changes that like actually change the foundational model of the game versus just like an introduction of new graphics and modules and stuff like that. Like the clone, like putting multiple clones in a station was. I mean, it was like a year or two ago. I forgot who it was that was like went on record and said that there's just code that prevents us from doing this. Like it's not possible.
Just code. It's also technology, right? A lot of things was shelved throughout EVE history because it was just not viable technologically. And many of these things are now becoming way more of a real possibility. So I still think that it's not just going to be faction warfare. It's going to be faction warfare to the next level. It's going to be all-out war.
I think that it is going to be a new reason to add in new ships to I talking with on a few of my buddies, like maybe like a new capitals, like new Tech 2 cruisers, expanding what we have in the trees, like especially with the changes to how battleships work.
I don't think we need new T2 cruisers. I think there's a lot more.
Well, I didn't say T2 cruisers. I said T2 caps and like battle cruisers and stuff
We
like
don't
that.
need new ships at this point.
We need a
Yes,
Titan Plus.
We always need more ships.
I just look at anything.
More ships is more content. warfare. It could
Well, I mean-
disrupt the meta in a dangerous way, depending on how these new ships are implemented. But I don't think like you could just say that like Navy Decis, for example, that's a huge gap in the tree. That it would be necessarily bad.
I mean, I'd like to see
All right.
proper rock paper scissors,
That.
scissors balance in ships before we see new
What-
ships. But that's just me.
What's wrong with the balance at present?
Well, the point
I
is
like
not balance. The
everything.
point is it has CCP actually hinted at in any way, shape, or form that we will be getting any new ships at all.
No, they haven't.
And
Listen,
I
I'm
don't
just
think we will.
speculating here.
It's more
You're
about
always
con-
just speculating.
right?
Anyway,
Big
I think
Bill is
that
kind of
the
on the point.
I think that I think that well, this is my hypothesis is that they may try to tie faction warfare standings to like building stuff in low sec potentially, maybe.
Yeah.
So that way you can flip other dudes.
I think it's
I
it's
think
along
that
those
would be a
lines.
healthy ecosystem change because right now faction warfare is only crabbing method for
No,
like
managed-
on the side.
Like managed control, not full out null sec where you go own the system, but you get to do more things or better things. Like in a revamped, they have hinted at revamped faction warfare, right? So faction warfare has some kind of impact on the areas of faction warfare. But if you expand that through the tools that they already have, then you have more managed control of areas. And if they see the value of the ebb and the flow and the wars and the fighting in nullsec, they know they need this middle ground between high sec and null sec. So
just
revamp
be
that.
careful. Be careful with your ideas because CCP signal is taking notes.
Angel Cartel Titan.
Okay,
What
every
pink
What I
skins.
also thought about
get all the
was
bad ideas out there right now, all of them.
Okay,
high sec empire, high sec empire incursions into null sec.
Ban
Well,
all Galente
Like the
into one
Triglavian
system.
ones?
So I
Triglavian-
think with the we saw with the trig thing, right, where you're able to flip and essentially low sec into null, right? We saw that thing where an effort was made by players who joined a team and then did sites and missions and things and flipped the system from essentially low sec to null, right? I think we might see the same thing done from high sec to low sec, but probably more temporarily, right? And I think that'd be interesting.
That's kind of what I'm saying, right? Same
Yeah.
same sort of thing, right? This ebb and flow, a lot of indicators that way. With the gas sites, these faction elements, the possibility of new gates, this new event thing, possibly how they're going to do that. They have the mechanics in place with a lot of the whole thing with the Triglavian space. They certainly can take a 0.7 and make it a 0.4. They have those mechanics in place now. They just need to put the story and the lore and the time behind it.
If you go back
They have
to
those mechanics
if you go back to when the highways were a thing in Eve, right? They were supposed to be highways that circumvented the dangerous space that was between the empires, right? Because the empires hated each other. If they wanted to bring back something similar to the highways and something like an all-out hot war in faction warfare, then you would need those gates to actually, or the highway back, but this time actually gated based on standing, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I based on the troubles with Pochvan, I don't know that gates based on standing is necessarily a great
Well,
idea.
no, it'd be that if you have negative standing, you just don't get to go in that area without. But I mean, I don't know if it has to be a great idea, but let me tell you, I know a lot of people that get fucked over real quick that way.
Well, I'm sure that you can ignore the warning. It's just that these gates might actually have some warning system that says you should not really go into Kaldari space because you shot Rundle last week and now we hate you.
I'm pretty sure that they would like us more if we shot Rondo last week. That was the
I mean,
thing.
does Rundle
Yeah, a
not
lot of
have
people would
a
like us if we shot Rundle.
high sec bounty already? Like,
probably.
I mean, Rondo, can you just undock right now so I can shoot you?
Yeah,
Maybe faction warfare has new module anchorable drops that you can anchor in space, and they call your NPC friends, right?
Federation
To
Navy
come,
Dreadnought.
to come help you, like if you have a positive standing.
That's never gonna be a thing. Never gonna be a thing. Just
It's going
stop
to
it
be a
right
thing.
now.
That's so bad and so anti-Eve, and like you're
Stop
just
this immediately.
you're making me cringe. I'm puckering. I don't want to be puckering on the show.
Still better
Stop thumbing your own
than
ass.
Really,
trolling.
I really don't know what your butthole. I want to know what your butthole's doing. So
Pucker up, Buttercup.
Apparently, it's doing the duck face.
The duck face. No. Okay,
Oh,
we're not talking-
Redline, make the kill Rundle fleet public, please.
Okay, I can do that. That's not a problem at all.
Redline, it's gonna be a Diplo incident. You're blue.
It doesn't matter. I can kill blues
That's
all
not his
day.
problem.
I'm an NC. I'll just be like, yeah, it was funny. And nobody will
Oh,
even
then
yell at me.
someone show him the undock button, then please.
Fuck off, Caleb.
What if
You
he's
can't-
what if he's in a marshal? What if he's in a marshal on a jump gate?
Here's a question for you, Caleb. If we need to be shown the undock button, why don't you ask Init what they thought about our undock button that they couldn't seem to find until after we were done.
Are we transitioning already? Is this a transition?
I would like to defend initiative.
We're not doing war. We're not doing war when there's still fucking high sex speculation to be done.
Look,
okay.
I'm not
but
transitioning. I'm just saying.
Caleb, a market trader, found the undock button the other day. Caleb, how did you find the undock button? You said you did that.
Seriously, Dirk. Of course, you know that I had help. I just had to ask someone.
Who did you ask? Who helped you find the undock button?
Dude, it's literally the big yellow button in the station. Like, it's so easy to find, man. You can
Don't do Caleb like that, man.
Please do me like that, please.
I have the undock button in my bio just in case I forget.
Nice. You might need that. As it
I mean the little UI helper tool where you click and it shows you where the buttons are.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, where the hell do I go see my bounty?
You can't anymore because that system, I believe, is disabled.
Is that one all gone? Oh,
yeah,
that's why.
I wish it wasn't completely removed. I wish it was still around.
It still technically exists. It does still technically exist. They haven't taken it out of the game. They just disabled it.
Oh,
And
well,
isn't
I had
that
a pretty good
8
bounty.
months ago now? By the way, how long ago was that they?
Not
did that?
8
That's how much I pay attention to my bounty. I don't.
That was a long while ago, at the very least.
All right, well.
You can look to see what your bounty is.
You don't
You can't anymore, though. That's the thing. That's what I
We're
tried to
just saying, Bill, that can't do
Welcome
that.
to the show, Bill. Bill, welcome.
Bill!
Bill.
Good to see you, Bill.
I am Aura.
He's not. That's Bill Nye, Sasuke.
At least Bill pronounces Aura's name right.
Shut up.
Big Bill, the trailer park guy.
I didn't know we had a drag queen show today.
Aura.
So, anyways, let's go back to this low sec thing because I wasn't quite done with the low sec thing, if I'm being honest. But I mean, there's a whole lot of speculation and not a whole lot of facts right now.
Do we need facts?
I mean, it would be nice to have them, because basically, like what we're looking at currently is just that there's a shit ton of things happening in low sec with the empires, and we're just not quite sure what it's going to turn into.
CCP Swift, give us one true fact about LoSec right now in chat.
Literally anything that they do to LoSec. I mean, the fact that we've introduced things that are valuable to LoSec in the past, since like what 4 or 5 years ago, it is massively positive. Is all I'm gonna say. Somebody who likes LoSec, it probably gives the chance for smaller alliances to grow a little bit because hey, there's actual shit here that we can take and sell, and we can SRP our dudes, and we can continue to go kill people the way we want to do it. So it's massively.
Speaking of
SRP,
SRP, was Seto ever to SRP those Titans?
Redline, when the fuck did you make this show about sane things and facts?
What do you mean? It's always been about.
No, I say the facts, and everyone bitches at me because it doesn't match with their cultish
Loki,
rhetoric.
shut up!
And then we go in this big circle of anger.
You don't say facts.
No one wants
you
to listen
say...
to your.
Do you see how easy it is to trigger
your nullsec blob mentality?
Are we at 50?
Seto,
Are we at 50 shows yet? By the way, Redline, because I'm getting too good at this.
We're almost there, aren't we? There's 45 was.
I thought CCP Swift was here. It's CCP Signals here. Give us one true fact about LoSec CCP Signal.
Well, I think it's important to remember too that passive moon mining, right? The death of passive moon mining was a huge hit to low sec entities, right? Like that was terrible, and it required a lot of. If you weren't rich previously,
Let
nobody
me-
could catch up.
Let
Was
me tell
terrible-
you what the biggest
Sorry,
hit
did I
is
just
on
hear
tonight's show.
I thought I heard Vari talking about the recent industry changes there, but I'm sure he used the word low-sec in there somewhere. Did CCP just realize that they want to pull a ladder up behind everything? Is that what I'm hearing now?
Well, I think actually, you're seeing that as a trend right now. I hope eventually that they will rectify that somehow. I don't know, but like you said, like the ladder has been pulled up on a lot of people, and with the removal of passive moon mining, active moon mining, I think crippled a lot of alliances for a period of time in LowSec, and hopefully that this introduction of new industry requirements for materials from LowSec will help to fill that void and allow people to catch up. Now that doesn't obviously cover the ladder being pulled up behind anybody that didn't own a Titan, but
aren't there like salvage, some sort of faction related salvage materials that are needed as well? I haven't even like dug into the.
I haven't gone. I think a lot of people haven't yet, which is why capital prices are kind of where they are, because everyone's just like hasn't figured out if it's worth it right now, right?
Yeah, fuck it.
It's not Industry Talk Tuesday, guys.
Marius,
We
why
need
the
some
fuck are you
excitement.
so loud? Like, why
can we
are
just
you yelling?
Can we just
Because
can we address
blazing
can we
bunny,
address
mini
can we
bunny.
address can we address the actual ladder comparison with Titans? Because if the ladder is being pulled up, it's mostly because it was basically a completely elevator that was built in when we got the fat years. Titans were going on getting close to fucking free fall.
Well, I think it's great because CCP introduced this right as Sedao decided to whelp, Titans that were his
No,
and
actually,
not his.
CCP introduced it after Seta decided to whelp. Like,
Well, that's the joke,
before,
right?
before.
Yeah.
So Seta
Oh, did
whelped
they?
knowing, we fielded Titans knowing that they were going to be fucking
Oh, that's
crazy
right.
expensive.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So that makes it even more Papega.
But can I just
I have
touch on
a question. What is left in Eve that is like passive money to do besides buying collections and putting
Reactions?
market orders?
PI.
Reactions.
Okay,
Yeah, and
PI and
reaction.
reactions. That's not, I mean,
I don't
Reaction
know
that
that
will be a mini
passive
game.
money
running a
is
high sec
a good thing.
corporation or alliance, and some other stuff.
Running
So-
a
so
running
wait
a
a minute.
you're running
Can
a
I-
Jita scam lottery. You just sit
Okay.
there and hit repeat.
Yeah, but
pretty fast.
is
Are
running
we
an
crying
empire
about?
passive? Because
Are we crying about CCP adding active gameplay into their game and making people actually play with other people in their MMO?
Oh,
Is that what we're
how many
doing?
times
You need to do that for
you rap with someone
moons.
else?
No, but
How many?
see, Caleb, the problem with some of that is it inspires the N+1 kind of thing, right? So like Vry just was talking about how in low sec there used to be passive moons, now there's active moons. What that means is now we need a lot of people to mine, which kind of fucks with just generally what low sec used to be about. So that's cool.
Yep,
So now we're gonna get a bunch of dudes. We're gonna get them in rorquals. Rorquals are very expensive. So now we're gonna make all kinds of little like packs with people so that we're not killing each other's rorquals because God forbid we lose a ship, right? So we're making it safe for ourselves. That turns into like two sides, and now you have two big sides who are
Loki?
completely bound up, who
Loki,
are now killing each other. Yeah, what?
Can I share a very important fact of reality? N+1 works in the real world. It is an actual thing, and it should not be removed. It's a feature, not a
but
bug.
hold on
here.
The point is, right, like,
But when
these low sec groups, they have to have some way to fund themselves because CCP are taking it from them in terms of their alliance fees.
That's
CCP
right.
are taking it from them in terms of actually dropping these structures. They've got to sink ISK into the structures that they have to be able to, if they want to mine this stuff, that they then react as quote unquote passive ISK, they have to sink the quantum core cost.
I just thought of something.
There's
All
a
the
bunch of ISK
crab
sinks,
groups
and
that
where
are
do the
in.
alliances get that ISK to come in for them to then spend it and expand their operation?
So actually, I believe heavily that after this Delve War ends, you're going to see the attention of the nullsec alliances turn towards lowsec, right, where they expand out from their nullsec region, into neighboring lowsec, and I think that might be interesting. I mean, it's probably not
Not at all.
because there's like 40,000 nullsec guys, but
So
ju-
Caleb,
just
can I just touch on a point that you just touched on? So yeah, I understand that N+1 is a. Trust me, if anyone knows anything about N+1, it's me. I like to throw it in everyone's face all the fucking time.
Plus
But
one isn't really a valid.
you can say it's
argument.
no, but it
It's
is.
not really a feature because like fleet composition is so much different from N+1. Like if you have 190 guys and your enemy has 180 dudes, but his fleet is just better set up than yours, and you're the same skill level, like the dude with a better fleet setup is gonna win. Like if you have 190 man mutant fleet, it's 170 mutants and 20 Logi ships.
Hey,
And
wait
the
a minute.
stuff like links.
If you have 250 mutants versus 60 dudes with a dream, who do you think is going to win? It doesn't matter what the fuck you're in at that point. 250 mutants win. That's N+1.
Additionally,
no, it's not.
And again,
the resist.
can I
the
just point
resist
something
nerf.
out? Can I
The
just point?
resist.
I have a Eurofag
Loki
comment
just
to
got
that.
his spot like fucking taken from him. Y'all let the man talk. He's been trying to say something.
Yeah,
Well,
he was saying it to me, and that's why I wanted to counter that with, yes, N+1 is a thing, but if you are playing 11 dudes against another 11 dudes in a football match, if one of those gets thrown off field with a red card, there's a massive advantage on one side. But of course, you can compensate with skill, as was just mentioned by Jeremy, I think.
I've never seen a red card in football. Okay.
In
Okay,
sports,
hold on.
In
That
sports,
actually-
you compensate with a different strategy. Like it's called special teams, and that's an entirely different
So
thing. But
one of the interesting things too is the N+1, right? Traditionally, that had been fought by groups like Snuffed, like Old Wrecking Crew, and who else? Rooks and Kings, right? By blinging, right? By putting higher resists on their ships, by that allowed them to engage, from low to high. But you see now with the resist nerfs, that advantage is being taken away, and
You
that
know
has a
what?
huge impact on warfare, fighting outnumbered.
But you know what would help low set guys with the N+1, right? Thinking about it, if you have good standings with a faction and you're able to get anchorables to call them, their
Actually,
yes.
Mikael Vector and his boys in their faction warfare had a little bit of an incident the other day with some really nasty NPCs on a gate and lost some ships while they were trying to do a fleet, which I thought was pretty funny. And actually, I'd kind of be interested to see more of that, right? Like if you have good standings, do these like crazy NPCs show up? I don't know. It's interesting.
I'd just like to point out that one of my favorite quotes from the past month or so was when we were interviewing some of these low-sec guys, especially the ones that are using a massive amount of multi-boxing, right? And his conclusion was that he basically said, almost verbatim, well, I'm just going to have to hire some real people. It's like, oh my God, that might be exactly what CCP wants.
no, you're talking
That
about what's his
shouldn't be the only
no
option.
handlebars dude, right?
Yeah.
Bailiff or
And
whatever.
and he literally said that he might actually need to recruit some real people instead of just being dependent on multi-boxing. And I can only say, if that's the case, it's like working as intended. This is exactly what I would like to see CCP move towards: active gameplay, actual real grouping, not this multi-boxing alt account zombie farming crap. Because I know some will say, well, CCP shouldn't care whether it's an alt or it's a new player. Well, they will care, because from a business perspective, there is a huge advantage of a real person with a real credit card instead of just putting everything on one guy's credit card.
So can we talk about that for just a second? I watch a lot of talking stations. It seems like everyone really doesn't like multi-boxing. Can we explain why we think that that is the case?
It gives an advantage to people that play the game merely based on their ability to run more accounts than someone else.
Okay, but I mean, shouldn't
Is effectively pay to win at the core essence of Eve.
Why is it pay to win? Because they're able to plex their account. So from an industrial level, it's pay to win, yeah?
I'm really curious about how this is pay to win at all. This is based
like,
on personal
You can run more
capability.
accounts, you have more capabilities. You are given
Right.
a distinct combat advantage merely by the fact that you can run more accounts.
But nobody's limited with skill injectors. Nobody's limited by time. Like if you have enough money, like IRL money, right? You can do that too if you want, or if you have enough time on your hands, you can play
What
Eve
to?
for a long time and accumulate
No,
those
there's
things,
a-
like every veteran player in this game already has done. So to say like, oh,
Well, stop,
well,
stop, stop one step, please. So are you saying that there is some other way to equalize somebody having 5 accounts versus you having 1?
yeah, get more fucking accounts, start skilling, dude.
Well, no, it's not just about the accounts, right? It's about the personal capability to be able to manage those accounts
or
properly,
join.
to
Yeah,
actually like have that. If you can run that, there are a number of people, in fact, that I know who will not move beyond 2 accounts because they don't believe that they are capable of running those accounts simultaneously in an effective manner.
Can I just
But
answer Billy's thing though? Like if you're one
Multi-boxing-
of those people who need to only have 1 account, there are many groups in this game. They're called like null blocks mostly. Like you can get in with them. You're going to get all of the benefits of large numbers, right? N+1. You're going to go and have a lot of fun. You're going to go on your fleets, right? And you're good to go. Like I don't really understand why that's a negative thing at all.
Yeah, but those no blocks are better for the game because it involves some kind of community. And also it spreads
And by community you mean cults, because that's basically what we're seeing right now is you guys have turned into giant fucking cults.
You guys, right?
Big.
Because you're different, you know. The 6
I-
big
yeah, we-
job holder
I
is
am
very
very-
significantly different to the
No,
5
he's
biggest.
special.
Can I explain something to you, Marius? Okay, so first of all the SOV that Dreadbomb has, I know we're very fixed on this one specific thing. Okay,
Because
it's
you
not
intend on being wrong.
it's not a defensible thing. We can't defend it. If somebody came in and said, "Hey,
Then
we're
why do you
taking
have
this
renters?
space," what do you think? Because I guess we're trying to make as much ISK as possible while the fucking sun is shining, my dude. Okay,
You don't have renters in not defensible space. What?
Before we even get into the
I want to
topic of
comment on the
renters,
multi-boxing
holy
thing.
shit.
As the resident multi-boxer,
Big Bill is proof of someone who
there's
shouldn't have more than 2 accounts doing it with 8.
there is like a significant fucking effectiveness drop off after the 2nd or 3rd account. Like running, there's nobody who multi-boxes effectively 9 fucking accounts. Like,
Input broadcasters.
I beg to differ.
Trooper doesn't do it.
It's
Nobody
a-
does that.
There's a thing that
it's a drop off. Like you can't, like, it's just way too hard to do active fucking. That's why I use drone boats and shit like that. Or
See, this is the thing, Bill, right? This is the thing that we really have to address when we're talking about multi-boxing is what are people doing with those accounts? Like, if for example, back when I was rockwool mining 2-3 years ago, I would quite happily sit there with 6, 8, 10 rockwalls in a belt, and because of the way you cycle through rocks, because of the way you have different times when rocks pop, you can manage that very easily. It's not a huge deal. And then when you get dropped, you pull all your drones in across all your accounts, you alt tab real quick, you pull the drones in, you drop whatever combat drones, and you slave them to 1 account. You assist them all to 1 account. That 1 account deals with like deciding where the drones go. That's kind of how that goes.
you just blew their mind. They don't understand that you can drone assist one individual.
But when you're talking about like active accounts, I mean, it's been a while since I've FC'd as well. I've been busy with my real life a lot. But even under the FCing scenario, I would run 2 scout alts, and almost certainly one of those I would write off every fucking fleet I did because I'd leave it on a gate somewhere and just lose it. I'd run a backup FC alt, which I'd be more focused on, which is why I'd lose the scout alt. And then I'd run my Titan. If I was really, really pushing it, I'd run a 6th account that wasn't even a 6th account because it would be sat docked in a station somewhere holding Fleet Boss so that if I randomly DC'd on my main FC account, I didn't lose the fleet to some random fucker in fleet. That was it.
Yeah, I run multiple accounts. I run 9
The way
accounts.
these things escalate is very different depending upon the activity that you're trying to do. And I don't see how a person's ability to be able to manage different streams of information across multiple accounts and also being able to pay the sub for that account is pay to win in any fucking way whatsoever.
I mean, if I can interrupt here, it's literally the definition of pay to win. Like, you are gaining an advantage by paying money, whether it's out-of-game money to buy Plex or in-game money to buy Plex for subs. You are still paying money that other people may not have to get an advantage over other people. like which is the definition of pay to win.
What I
at its
hear-
So technically,
core.
everybody who has
what
an
I
Omega,
hear-
there are
and
certain
technically everybody who has
examples.
an Omega account is pay to win, is what you're claiming. Everybody who has an Omega account
This is
right
true.
now.
This is absolutely true. This is 100% true.
What I
Like,
hear are a
everybody
bunch
has
of
it. It's not
a bunch of people from very organized groups who are making the claim that if we all had like only one account, that like somehow things would be fair. And I find that really fucking
I'm not
funny.
saying that would be fair, but it would be a very different game.
So I use
Very
I use 9 accounts for like multiple things, but generally a lot of it has to do with my ability to run a successful op. And
the problem is the advantage. The problem is that every time I hear someone defend using multiple accounts and multi-boxing, right, it's always that, well, I can't trust a real player to do it. And the fact that that is an issue is why
well,
this
why
is so
aren't there
prevalent.
more FCs? Why aren't there more FCs, Caleb?
Maybe I just find
Why is
multi-boxing
all of
fun.
CCP's fucking thing based off of like 12 fucking people in this game? Right? Like the
I-
entire business of Eve is based off of like a handful of FCs in this entire game.
That's
Why is that the case?
hilarious, Because actually, I
It's a
can
game
trust
based
other
on
people to
backstabbing, so
do
you can't actually
a lot
trust
of
that
these
other
things.
person in space.
I can trust a lot of these people to do a lot of these things, but then, like, I also spend time, if I'm attacking a structure, making bookmarks around that structure. I make those bookmarks, and my alts have them. They just have them there, so I can sit them there and use them to bounce around. I can trust other people to scout other places, that's not a problem. I'm using my accounts for specific purposes. And
But again,
just
how
so
can
that I
how can you
always
how can
know-
you how
argument
can you
against
how can you
multi-boxers
grow a
stupid.
game if the alternative is always to just get an alt account instead of actually getting a real person to do it?
It's not always to do that. I multi-box because that I enjoy it. Like some people like kiting around the field and staying out of range and maintaining a certain distance that gives them an advantage over the other. I just like using multiple ships for different things. It's fun to me. I like it's like a mini strategy game for me inside of the game of Eve. Like there's absolutely nothing that gives me like a significant fucking advantage over anybody.
You guys know about Hobo Leaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like this is a great example of how like individuals just generally try to get advantages in Eve. You have people on test servers who literally just are looking for the next thing to get ahead so that they can maybe start investing in the right thing so that you can do like this is literally what Eve players do, right? They try to get unfair advantages over other players. It's just like the entire part of the fucking game. But to say, oh, okay, well, we're limited to one account. How do you even enforce that? Like, if I have multiple
can't.
email addresses and like 5 credit cards, I have 5 alts,
We
right?
didn't
We're not
say
playing a fucking first-person
No,
shooter
you're
here.
about
We're
to get
playing
IP
Eve.
banned, Loki. That's
We're
how you
not-
enforce that.
We're
More
not
money for the.
saying
what if I'm
that
running-
multi-boxing should be a bannable offense.
So now I
Let's
need
be
to buy
clear
5
here.
different computers in order to multi-box. Is that what we're saying?
But
Because
this is silly. Why would you need a hard limit when you can actually design the game to be more active and requiring more attention? The more of that, the less likely it is that you will opt for an
Caleb,
Could you
account.
imagine how much industry would eat shit if that happened?
yeah,
I would love
Did you
it.
actually? I just want to really seriously ask Caleb. Did you actually miss the point where I said the limit at which multi-boxing falls off depends significantly on the activity that you're engaging in as your multi-box?
I didn't attack you on this. I attacked the other comments in the room.
Dark, apparently
This
there's goons that
already
can-
has a natural fall off.
Apparently, there's legitimate goons that can, FC entire Munin fleets built on themselves. So I guess what you're saying is wrong, because you can just you can do Munin fleets on your own, like 25.
no, but it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear though, right? At this point, the fact that there are X amount of FCs in this game versus the rest of everybody who get into fleet happily, who get into Munins or whatever other ship, and then press a button and approach anchor or keep at range of anchor and press the prop on and off and jump through gates. They're perfectly happy in that role. Like it, I don't really understand why.
This just
Like
sounds
at
like
this
one
point,
of those
where
another like make kills easier for me arguments is what it sounds like.
Nah, so if
Let's be clear here. First off, the argument is not that anyone thinks the number of counts should be limited. I am merely stating a fact that it provides a significant advantage to anyone who is able to multi-box over someone who is not able to multi-box.
but over time with skill injectors and and Plex.
Skill
and
injectors do not affect your ability to run two. If it's
over
2-on-1 in this game,
over time, if you really wanted to, you could have as many accounts as you really wanted, and you'd pretty much be paying almost nothing IRL if you really wanted, right? Over time, and this game is limited by
skill farming. He's talking about skill farming.
I'm talking about skill farming so that you have multiple accounts that you're not even paying for. So your IRL dollars are not even like a factor in this. So anyone can have multiple accounts. Anyone can do this. This is the democratization of multi-boxing. So I don't understand why when you say, oh, having too many accounts is bad because it creates an unfair advantage, you even have a fucking point because anyone can literally do it, Billy. That's what I'm asking.
anyone. So whoa. So anyone in this game can invest $8,000 to set up a skill farm.
Over time, given an infinite amount of time, sure, yeah.
But the point is that it effectively.
Why do we think that anyone who joins the game should be able to do this immediately? That's not even like were you able to have multiple accounts immediately when you started playing EVE Online, Billy, like 20 years ago? No.
What Loki was talking about there was like, dude invests $15 a month, $20 a month. I don't know how much it is American, but like they invest their sub for a month, right? And that's how much they pay. And they then engage in some money-making effort. And that money-making effort gets that alt, that second account that they've got going. It gets them up to the point where that they can invest in a month's worth of subscription for that second account along with the injectors. You know, it takes time, but you can build it up. And then you extract that second account that you've been working on that's also got its own money-making thing on the side. It might be PI, it might be gas farming, it might be whatever, but you're extracting the skill points. And so now you've got two accounts going for the cost of your 1 month sub. And then you start on the third account and the fourth account, and you build it up over time. It's not
the thing is that
win in random investment of $8,000 or whatever the fuck.
That doesn't matter. This destroys the ecosystem and the playability of the entire game, because what you're doing is you're adding automation into the game. Even though that's a term that's basically based on real life stuff, right? You're adding robotics, you're adding automation, you're lowering lowering. Can I finish? You're lowering the actual value of labor because you are supplying enough automation and multi-account labor. So that means that you are devaluing the value of the new player's actual time.
CCP Hilmar keeps talking about a future forward paradigm and how EVE is, an example that people could consider. Maybe we should start considering that turns out automation is the future, and
it's not the future for a fun game. In fact, automation is having like actual real life effects on the economy and the ability of normal people to pay their bills. So it's not the forward thinking away, because we're going to have to deal with automation in the future.
Okay, so first of all, you said EVE is a
automation is not an unqualified success. It's going to fundamentally tip over our economy.
Much like the Industrial Revolution did it not? And yet somehow we're still here. It'll all
that's because new jobs appeared.
If you want to argue about the Industrial Revolution and different modes of production and how ideology manifests and feeds into this,
I just got out of Economics 101, and let me tell you.
If you want to talk about,
I doubt that Maris
you guys eat a cookie or something. Jesus Christ!
Wait, so I wanna say something here. So nobody else say anything for just a second, because I want to ask Villy. Did you say multi-boxing is bad?
No.
Okay, so Villy never said multi-boxing is bad. Villy said that multi-boxing is a pay-to-win method that allows people with more access to currency to get an advantage over other people, which is not yet, which is fundamentally pay to win. But it sounds like we're having an argument over it being bad, but Caleb said it was bad. So if you guys are gonna argue with Caleb.
First of all, I answered Villy already though on that, and it's like if it's an unfair advantage and is fundamentally pay to win,
he didn't
then
say
literally
it was an unfair advantage. He just said it was an advantage that comes from
paying. It's literally. So my point was then to answer that, and then we can move on. Was that it is an advantage that literally anyone with a brain can create, and do
the
given
point- the
given enough
problem-
time.
I do just want to point out that the first person to bring pay to win into this conversation was Billy. So,
But the
Because
problem,
it is
but
pay
the
to win.
yeah, but the main problem is how
So is
it
a
is.
mega account. Like it's the
Oh.
same. Like it just negate. They negate
Yes,
each
Get
it
other.
rid of
is.
all your alt accounts, Billy.
But it,
And also,
but it
No,
proportionally,
I
it
need my
proportionally,
event.
Dude, if I
make a economic like a greater than or versus or less than depending on the accounts and stuff like that. If you got rid of multi-boxing, the amount of industrial production would grow down like drastically, and then therefore the prices would skyrocket.
The
Therefore,
word you're looking
you
for
would
that, Bill,
go
is
back into
greater.
That's
you'd
exactly
circle
what
back
we
around
want.
to the point zero in which new players won't be able to
All
afford
right.
dog shit.
So,
But that's
so
just
Caleb,
not how it works.
Caleb wants industrial output to crater, while also recognizing because Caleb, you can't.
That's not what Caleb
live
is
in-
saying.
He just
That's
said
literally
it.
he literally just said
that's
he
what
literally
I
just
want.
said that, dude. Do you
Do
not
you
have
even
fucking
listen?
ears? Do you not have fucking ears?
Who is
Caleb,
this Marius
Caleb,
guy? Like, this is-
you're
See,
interested
Caleb
in-
doesn't like anyone making money.
Jesus.
Caleb,
That's
you
you.
want
Caleb has
you
been
want
wrong
an
about
you want an
everything.
economic collapse in Eve? Is this what I'm hearing?
So
Is,
here's
is
a,
that what you said?
Here's a thought that I have,
Yeah.
and
Well, I
and
can't-
I kind of want to shift this conversation from that point to let's talk about like the impact that multi-boxing or something might have on like a newer player, right? So Loki, you said earlier that people like lots of people are content to just be F1 pushers and fleets, and I agree with that. But a lot of people, I would argue, would rather have roles to fill that are important to whatever group they're participating with. This could be being a scout. This could be lighting a sign, like lighting sinos, doing recon work, anything like that, like on a fleet or before a fleet. Do you think that having so if you have 9 accounts, you can do all of that stuff on your own. Do you think it is more beneficial to the game and the long-term health of the game to do it all yourself or to contribute to teaching a newer player how to do it in a method that you can trust them to do it correctly and that you can help them learn how to do it?
Just real quick before Loki answers this, Bill, is it just me, or did Redline literally just define the F2 program in about like 40 words?
Yeah, that
How
was
long,
exactly
y'all? Wait,
exactly
how-
my point was. Exactly my point was is that it takes groups to begin to revolutionize the way that they view and interact with new players in order to get them to a place where they're going to have the capabilities to do this. Is it going to be on the fleet where we're fielding at 300 Titans? It's not going to be that.
Why
It's
not?
never going to.
Can I just address?
Do we
You were
really?
saying,
Are you
Loki,
really
that
going to
everyone
ask
in-
that question?
you were
Are you really going to
saying
ask
that-
why not?
You were
just
saying,
why
Loki,
not?
Let me
you were
Really?
take it back a little
saying
bit.
you
Let
were
me
saying with
take
like a
back the floor.
pejorative mood.
Just a sec. Let me take back the floor.
Every
So,
mood is
Loki,
a pejorative mood when I talk, dude.
You were talking about specific groups. You're talking about groups have to change their mentality. I'm not talking about groups. I'm talking about you as an FC in your group. Do you think that it is better for the long-term health of the game to have the... Am I low volume? I guess I'm low volume. That's weird. I'll turn
Low
myself
energy.
up. I'm
Not low volume.
Fuck that, right? Anyways, do you think that it is something that is more beneficial to the game to teach a newer player how to do something, or to just do it yourself? Which do you think is better for you?
I think
Can
it's.
I- can I add something to
I
that?
think. Okay,
No.
so in an immediate, it depends on many factors. You
Wait,
guys
why-
try to.
why can't it be both?
You guys are trying to reduce. Yeah,
It
exactly.
could be
but you
both,
guys
but
are
it
trying to
doesn't need to
reduce
be.
this to a point, right? So if it's just like a regular fucking fleet, and like we're just jumping in subcaps to some random place for whatever, right? I would
Mhm.
happily let literally anybody who wants to light a sino for me. Okay. And if that person didn't know how to do that, but had the ship trained, I would take the time to actually explain exactly what I wanted to a T. And if it did, it doesn't really matter. Right. And then we're going to work on that with that individual. And this is literally how I operate.
Okay, so
Secondly,
let me-
if I'm jumping in fucking supers, I'm lighting the fucking sino. Like that's,
hold on,
that's just
hold
how
on,
I
wait a
operate.
second. Let me continue the question while I also test my volume. I think my volume is good now, right, chat? My volume's good. Damn, this microphone makes me sound fucking fantastic.
I was gonna ask if you got a new microphone. That's
I
what you've been
did.
fucking waiting on.
I did. It's so
Waiting on
fucking
that. There you
good.
go.
Which one
Fishing
did
for
you
a
get?
compliment.
And now somebody says a little loud. Fuck off.
What did you
I
get,
want to
Redline?
know
Nobody
is
cares.
is
so-
if
I do.
if it's a
Nobody really
problem
cares.
that
All right,
only
it is a little loud then.
12 guys
Right,
are.
So you had a second question. You had a follow-on, Redline,
Well,
while you were
Redline-
testing that volume. People just started carrying on the conversation. You had a second question for Redline. I've heard Loki there, Redline. Sorry.
Was there an infinite loop of sound there? A second? I'm sorry.
No, like this is your stream, man. I'm not producing it. I only do that for anger games, but he can't. We had this conversation.
Okay, so anyways,
Now we're back to the
I'm sorry. So Loki, I didn't really get an answer to the question that I was asking you.
So the question you asked me was, is it more beneficial for me to teach a new player how to do something
not
than
for
to just
you.
do it myself?
For the
For the-
long-term
yeah,
health
for
of
the
the
game.
game.
No, not even for not even for the game. Like we could put that question into, is it more beneficial for my alliance, right, or for my corporation? And the answer is absolutely sure. Yes,
But
absolutely.
you answered with an idealistic point of view and not an actual efficiency and min-maxing one. So you killed the question.
I don't know. So
I
you guys
don't
are
think
not
he-
satisfied with my answer.
No.
I don't think he did actually.
I didn't.
we're not
I answered your
satisfied with
question
the
sufficiently.
question.
Loki, you always
to,
satisfied.
to take Loki's point and put it in a different situation, random Logi Anchor
34.
Z 34. Random Logi Anchor 34.
Yes, we
has
love him. He's got
been
3
been
dogs. He posts
elected.
pictures in the Discord of his dogs all the time. He's a great dude. He's
Exactly.
eager. He's eager to learn. He's ready to go. He wants to know how to become the next best Logi anchor in the game.
Dude turns up to a 60 person. I'm not even calling it like 60 mower, but 60 person mower fleet. In that sort of situation, you're talking about like roughly 40 mowers, roughly like 10 to 15 Logi ships, a couple of boosters, a couple of scouts. You know, your comp's going to be a little hazy there, but you know,
Morning's Angels would never field a fleet like that.
That random Logi Anchor 34 turns up to that mower fleet, and it's his first ever fucking time as a Logi Anchor, right?
Okay.
He's done the classes that goons do. He's been in the classes, but this is his first time in the hot seat. It's his first time in the command channel, talking to the FCs. He's, you know, hopped up on the adrenaline.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna
there.
let that guy Logi Anchor for me forever and a day in that particular comp, in that particular situation.
Okay.
You then take that to Macarials, a full 256-man Macarial fleet, which actually works out at somewhere between 150 and 180 Macarials, between 40 and 50 Logi. You want like 5 or 6 boosters. You want your
So
support
I think
ships.
I see where you're going
long
with
webs,
this.
your long points.
So I
You
think
want
I
those
see where you're
bits,
going with
and
this.
Random Logi Anchor 34 on his first Logi Anchor fleet is not going to get into the 256-man Macarial doing like actually significant strategic ops, right?
Okay, but
He's
how
just
many
not.
times
You're
does
gonna-
that actually happen, and why?
It happened to me.
Why
It
is it
happens
not
all the fucking time?
Yeah, but why? Like, why does it have to be a specific example of like what it is and isn't going to be?
Sometimes you have to teach
because
by
this is the
leading
thing.
and showing and demonstrating, leading by example. Like
This is
some-
exactly the thing. You build up experience in these people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't drop a guy who's just learned how to Sino into Sinoing in a full Titan fleet on a Keepstar for a major op. You start him off by
Well, sure, because
Sinoing
then
in
you have
some
somebody
like
signing into
support faxes
2,000
for a
fighter
battleship
bombers or
fleet.
something, right?
You
Yeah,
you
that's never
build
happened though,
people
right?
into these
No, absolutely
roles.
Why doesn't
And-
NC dot let anyone just FC whenever the fuck they want, max SRP, no big deal? Because it's not going to end up well. You guys have an FC program. I know that because I was in that program, right? You need to build them up over time. You need to invest time in these people, which is why I said that so if we wanted to eliminate alts, you would really probably need organizations that were willing to go to the lengths of teaching people and building them up over time. Now, should they be doing that already? Yeah, probably, for sure. And
Yeah, definitely.
the more competent individuals that you have in a group, the less I'm going to need to multi-box as an FC, which is great. So I have my favorite dudes, right? The guys that I know that are going to do the job. When I can't do something, I reach out to them. Right?
So I think you've
And that's just
answered
how
the
it is.
question for me in a roundabout way. You got there, which I'm proud of you for getting there. You said so long term you would rather have the newer player be the person that gets taught to do these things so that you don't have to do them. Now, my question would be is that and while I understand that on those big fleets you're not going to have random Logi anchor number 34, do his thing or whatever because it's an important op, and I get that, but are you going to let random Logi anchor 34 do his thing on other ops? Like, are you going to let that person try to break in and do what they feel like they were called to do in the game, or because you do it on big ops, are you just going to keep doing it yourself?
That's how. Well, no, nobody's
no,
F'ing and being a
Yeah.
Logi anchor at the same time. A, B. That's
I
what
understand.
Roams used to be
So,
for. By the way,
fine.
that's what Roams were
I feel
for.
like Redline's leading up to
Roams,
some big closure about Rain here. Is the Logi story that we all deserve to hear?
Do you guys want to hear my Logi story? Because
No,
I
I was
literally,
kidding.
well, I was literally like, "Hey guys, I love flying Logi," and everyone was like, "Rain, you're the anchor," and I'm like, "I don't know how to anchor," and they're like, "Good luck," and that's how I learned to anchor.
Yeah,
I learned how to Logi anchor because
CCP
I'm the only
signal
person
Roams
not
used to be for
multi-boxing.
this. Like Roams
CCP
used to be
signal
for
says
this
it
purpose, right?
straight up in the
Okay.
chat though. He says, "Let's just be honest here. If CCP eliminates alts tomorrow, the company goes under," and that's what it is, and that's fine. It's
I mean, that was
it's
my next
fine that
point,
alts
actually, yes.
exists. It's all things, and I cannot believe that this entire conversation stemmed from Loki. You asked Caleb, why don't you like multi-boxing, and
Yeah,
Billy said it was
it's been
pay to
very
win.
evident.
And then and then we
on
argued for an
TIS.
hour about it. Like, I cannot believe that happened, but I'm here for it. I mean, it's whatever. But
This is a sandbox, dude.
Can I say Redline? I want to say something I don't think anybody has stated yet.
Yeah, let's hear it, Bill.
I find multi-boxing fun. Like it's just fun to me. Like that's what I enjoy doing.
No one said that you shouldn't have your alts. No
Bill
one
was-
said.
I didn't say
exactly what
I
was
didn't
said.
say you should make it a
Everyone's very
bannable thing or
passionate.
anything like that or remove it from the game. I'm just saying I want CCP to design the game so it incentivizes the player base to actually prefer a real boy to an alt puppet. That's all I'm saying.
I just have to ask
How would
Caleb.
you do that?
Before we get there, Caleb.
I don't know.
I just want to ask, how do you enjoy your really long nose as a real boy?
It's
That's
not my
fair,
it's
dude.
not my it's not my nose, mate.
Oh my god.
Holy fuck, Caleb.
Is this a real life insult or a Pinocchio joke?
That was the best possible answer
What
to that question.
what is it?
Good
Your
job.
toenails? What? What?
How
Marius?
do
What?
I think this is an interesting topic. How do we incentivize, real seats rather than alt?
So you make
This is about outsourcing and making sure that there's enough strain either in activity and Twitch behavior or in actual logistic load and all these things to make it so it's always preferential to get someone else to work with you instead of using an alt.
Caleb, you want them to make more menial and tedious jobs that you
I don't care about that argument because it's a dunk dinkle stupid. Tedium
But
to
it's
some
true.
people.
Have
Tedium
you
to some
guessed
people.
mine?
No, shut up. Tedium to some people is actual
No.
gameplay. I call gate camping tedium. I would rather die than sit and camp a gate. But to me, actual doing things like hauling or mining or industry clickfest, that's entertainment to me. You're just calling it tedium because you don't like it. That means I'm supposed to do it for you.
Do you use one mining
I
barge to
mean-
mine?
Do you realize that literally incentivizes, like, that opens up roles in the game for people to fill, which is what you're basically saying, right?
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
Okay, so if you're not going to do things with your alts that you don't like doing, and thus there are roles opened up for other people
Exactly. This is what I call the Killer B argument, because the fact that Killer B, a massively talented FC, was Rockwell mining made me puke.
Why?
So there is
why?
why he
Why?
enjoys that shit.
You gotta make money.
Nobody enjoyed
I mean,
Oracle mining.
he
It
would
was
have.
just the easiest way to make money ever in this game.
He would have owned a Technidium moon had that been passive, but unfortunately, it's no longer passive. And so that's
You're
FC's
just
had
putting
to start.
stronger examples in there. I'm saying mining
I'm not
should never have
I'm
been.
not arguing, dude. I'm not always arguing with you, Caleb. Like I'm not always trying to prove you wrong. Okay, like everyone's got to calm down a little bit.
That's just the American accent, Caleb. You've got to forgive them that.
I'm Canadian, you fuck.
Close enough. You're America's
it is-
snowhead.
It
is
I would
American
never
accent,
confuse you,
even if
Loki.
No,
Not
the Canadians stood by you, motherfucker. All right, so
American
we deserve a
life.
little bit more respect.
Loki, you don't have enough outs to claim a Canadian accent.
Hey, you know what, Marius? Get the fuck out, okay, bud?
Anyway, this is a dumb conversation at this point. Like we
I mean,
clearly,
yeah, for sure.
It's just like, why is this even being fucking debated on? If someone
Because you got defensive. Because you're like, but I really like multi-boxing.
It's my favorite way to play with myself.
My point was with that was I don't
Job, Rundle.
understand the point that TIS takes on that, and it's been driven home quite a few times in the last like 5 episodes.
Thanks, Rain.
Well, Matterall also was telling people that faxes rep dreadnoughts. So let's take a grain of salt with talking in stations here. Okay,
We
like,
love
let's,
talking in stations. They do if the dreadnoughts aren't
understand what
siege.
they've been saying.
I mean, yeah, they technically do, I guess, if there's no
okay,
siege.
like you're
that
giving
almost
Matterall
never-
a
that
lot
almost-
of credit.
That
You're
almost
giving
never happens.
Matterall.
I know.
But that being said, hey,
Yeah.
look, multi-boxing, like multi-boxing, like 80 accounts, whatever. But like, multi-boxing, like your main, you got a fax, you got a dread, like it allows your outnumbered
Nobody is
groups to take fight.
saying that multi-boxing is inherently bad or there is anything wrong with it. What we are
But
saying is that
typically-
it is pay to win. It provides a significant advantage to the people who do it.
But pay to win has always been associated with negativeness. Like it's always been considered a nefarious.
Okay, well that's fine. But it doesn't change the reality here, right? Like Eve has always been a game that enables pay to win in that way. There's different levels of what pay to win enables. Eve has always had an element of pay to win.
An
What
open flex market.
what spawned this?
A real money to plex
Seriously.
transaction
Loki.
system has always been a part of it, and that is by definition a play to win system.
There's a question to be asked here about pay to win versus pay for advancement, pay for additional like.
Pay for catch-up, pay for convenience. There's many things to pay for.
Right, no. If you're talking about 1v1 Blaster Hecate versus Blaster Hecate, and one of them has paid real dollars to have higher damage ammo, like, I don't know, Matterall suggested in CSM discussions at one point, that is pay to win, because if they are fit exactly the same, but one has higher ammo because they've paid for it, that's pay to win.
Generally, it's paying.
What's the difference between splitting that into a second account and now you have the additional thing? It's just
So
pay
if
to
I
win
have
by
two
another more
Hecates versus-
steps.
If I have 2 Hecates versus 1, is that not pay to win?
Exactly.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
now I understand though. I think so
that's a fair point.
In regards to how the
That's a very fair
CSM,
example.
I mean, I suppose, but that guy's doing twice the amount of work to the dude's one, right? If you had a buddy who was tagging along and just held like one gate out, and then you went and tackled them, had you warp in, that still
That's a
sucks
bog.
for the one guy, right? Because
bogger.
solo in this game is dog shit, and everybody knows it. But I think that honestly, the multi-boxing having many alts argument is best framed under like the whole CSM thing, because it's really shitty when some dude with like 200 fucking alts is able to somehow, swing something or, dramatically contribute to somebody getting elected that might not otherwise have gotten elected. And so I think that under that
You mean like
framework,
having
knowing
500
that,
alts to
then
vote
the
yourself
system
into
needs to change then, right? Like at least that system needs to change. The democracy of it needs to change to some degree.
I think we can all
Nobody's
agree on
suggesting
this.
that we change Eve. We are merely stating an obvious observation that is true to anyone that is not offended by it.
Yeah,
Right,
you
but
can-
my
you can
obvious
take it-
observation
you
that
can take it out of
anyone
combat as well, right?
but my obvious observation is that anyone can participate in the pay to win scheme that you guys are digging
Yes,
into.
pay to
So-
win is open to all people with money.
So
Yeah.
who?
No,
It's
no.
not
Well,
as
not
easy
even
as
with
you're
not
saying
with
it,
money,
Loki.
with time, dude. With time and brains,
It's
you
not
can
as easy
get.
as you're saying. It's not
It
as easy as you're
really,
saying.
it fucking is, dude. Trust me.
No,
It
no,
really,
it isn't.
really
fucking
is.
not.
It really isn't, because it requires a whole lot of time, which most people don't have.
What? Why does it require?
Well, if you have an
Why
alliance
does it
that
require a whole lot
establishes,
of time?
if you have an alliance that
you were
establishes
just saying.
infrastructure for everybody
No,
to use,
I mean time
and
as
create
time ticks.
industry.
So as time ticks on, like we're still like the SP in this game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is still based off of time, is it not?
Yeah, but
Loki,
earlier you
saying it's
literally
So you have to skill
you
your characters to a
quantified it.
certain point in order to then
Loki,
put.
Loki. Earlier you quantified it as an infinite amount of time. Like you're literally saying
No,
if
no,
you
that's not what I
take
said.
long
What I
enough,
said was given
anybody
enough
can
time
replicate
for
it.
any new player. Yeah. So I start today. I start EVE Online today, right?
Yeah.
Now,
So like 3
and
years from now,
let's
you'll
just
have
pretend.
enough
So
to
let's
have
just say Loki
amount of accounts
Chocochips
with
is
you.
Let's let them talk.
Loki's sitting next to this new player who just started one account, and I say, look, there's this system that's in place. We can exploit it, okay? And it allows you to have multiple characters, and you don't even have to pay for it. Now, I'd like to point out that I pay for all of my accounts, and I have a lot of them. Anyway, that's not the point. So given
Stop for one second. So you're saying that anyone can do what you're saying they can do. They can pay for infinite amount of accounts.
No,
With
not
in-game money.
infinite amount of accounts. Given enough time. I said an infinite amount of time because you guys were making like really finite fucking statements. But given enough time, this individual will take one account and he'll be able to make another account with the SP that he earned off of the first account, and he's only plexing one time. Or sorry, he's only paying for it one time. So he can have a credit card and he's only paying for one sub, but he can have multiple accounts. And this is based off of skill injectors, the price of skill injectors, the prices of Plex, and the way that you can play with those things. Okay, like
that's not how that even works.
What is
So
the
how-
profit margin? What is the profit margin on a skill on that,
What-
Loki? Has anyone ever perhaps lost money on doing what you're exactly advising? Does the price?
the prices of skill injectors go up and down all the fucking time.
Let's take that whole argument out of the way by looking at something like industry, right?
Which is what I use my alts for.
Right. So if you are if you're a person and you have all three characters and you're doing industry, compare that to someone who has 25 accounts, 75 characters doing industry. We're not talking about PvP. We're not talking about how you can shoot something or kill something. Now, just the scaling that happens with 75 characters versus 3 characters.
Think of the cost savings. Think of the cost savings for you, Rendell.
How can you not say that gives that person with 25 accounts some significant advantage over the person who's using,
Can
3
you
characters?
imagine, Rendell?
Rendell,
Can you imagine, Rendell, if 25 people needed to do the industry that one person's able to do to get X amount of profit, which they find acceptable?
You
The
forgot to say
prices of everything would be insane, dude.
You forgot you forgot infinite slots.
As we touched upon earlier, if that were to happen, as Caleb suggested he wanted to happen, the market would crater.
It's not about market. No.
It's funny you say that because it's funny because you guys say that, but maybe there might actually be an opportunity for new players to build things in this game for a change.
Yes,
if they weren't
exactly.
competing with people that have 75 fucking lined up industrial accounts. I'm like, and I'm speaking from the opinion of somebody who has literally 20 characters with perfect build, perfect refine, perfect research, all this shit. Like, there's no way a new player could
Billy, how long did it take everybody to get there, Billy? There's a time factor in this game, is there not? So if I'm in a fucking, I don't know, I'm in some really crazy PvP ship, I roll up on a noob who's ratting, I annihilate him. That is massively unfair. This is the same argument. It's that I've had way more time to develop skills. I've had way more time to develop actual abilities and knowledge in PvP. And so then I actuate them on. How unfair is that? It's massively unfair. That is what this game is at its foundation.
We're not talking about fair or unfair. We're talking about advantages that are purchasable via real money.
That is fair and unfair.
And again, the game actually used to work before the standard way of playing it was with 25 accounts. The game used to actually work before we had infinite slots. But now we're stagnating and we are not allowing anyone else to participate in these types of gameplay.
And you're dumb.
Right, and I'll even double down on the argument, right?
There are very
so now
few
I have,
people who are
I have
purchasing.
25 accounts with 75 characters, and then I spend $500 and I get 15,000 and some odd plex, which translates into somewhere in around 30, billion-isk, and then I go buy all the materials I need to start building my ships and filling all my slots, and now I basically just rinse and repeat because now I'm printing isk.
So given enough time, do you not think that those new players are going to get to this same actuality?
That's
like,
not the point.
Why do you
It's
think?
not about,
No. Why
about
do you think you're special?
Not about,
Why do you think you're
dense,
special?
Dude. Listen to your own argument. It is not about the new dude getting there eventually. It's about the dude who is the new dude who just throws a credit card down and is way, way, way beyond where a regular new dude would be. That's
it would
the
require
argument.
it would require a tremendous amount of coaching for that.
So how does Test get all their shit from Vegeta to T5Z? Like, is it just one guy and one freighter that is jumping back and forth, or is it one guy and a few freighters?
Just like yours. Bill, if we're talking really about the way in which players get to throw down a credit card and get to the point at which long-term players with multiple accounts have made it to that point, let's talk about skill injectors and how easy it is to get those now.
I really don't want to do that. I
Like,
feel like
I don't want to
it's been discussed so much.
That's where that conversation leads to.
Oh, okay.
This is where we go. At the end of the day,
all I really care about is
how
how difficult right now it is for just like a new someone to get into industry. It is very difficult because you are still competing.
How many?
It's actually really easy.
We just made it way more. Well, actually, we made it much easier for somebody to come in now and fill a role, which would be really cool, right? But generally, to do 100% of it is very difficult. You're correct.
So how many new players have you actually talked to that
Me? A
told
lot.
you-
I've
well,
talked to a lot, dude.
I mean, like, you could let me finish my question if you wanted to, but only if you wanted to. Like, if you want to get the context, that's fine. Because I was actually talking to Jeremy, who just says that it's hard for new players to get into industry now, even though CSP allegedly just opened up a whole new set of avenues for people to get in. Yeah, it's a little bit complex, but it's still something that a lot of people have access to right now. So, Jeremy, how many new players have you talked to that have expressed to you that they're finding it difficult to get into industry for some reason or another, like
How many
maybe
new
with
people
the
get
new changes?
into industry? Because right now it's
So,
very.
is the answer 0?
Yes, the answer is 0.
Okay, so how about instead of you talking for new players, you go talk to new players, find out what they actually think, and then the next time we talk about this, you can bring an actual informed opinion instead of just parroting whatever rhetoric you find on Reddit.
Can I just speak on behalf of TIS? Because we have a
No, you can't speak on this. Is fucking TTT, not the goddamn TIS show. Holy shit!
Because we have a lot of new players and small groups actually coming around asking about these things, and they really like these changes.
So we might have some new players in the chat. I'm going to do another poll for the Twitch chat. First, the poll is industry hard to get into for new players right now? We'll see what the Twitch chat thinks. Yes or no? Because see, the thing is that if it truly is hard for new players to get into it, I get it, right? But if you're just saying it to say it, and you don't actually talk to new players and get their actual opinions on it, then it's kind of bullshit for you to say it. Like, until you actually understand the impacts, yeah?
I'm coming from the position of someone who has tried and failed several times to get into industry because I want to do it.
Okay, but like, with all due respect, you're not a new player, and you've done a lot of other stuff, so like...
I'm not... Well, hold on. Because I have
not all of us
experience
are
in other
industry
things,
minded.
because I have experience in other things doesn't mean I'm necessarily skilled in industry and know anything about it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
inherently
exactly what I'm
dictate.
saying.
I mean, okay, so does someone who's played this game for 10 years and never undocks, say, market PvP all the time, know like the first thing about actual PvP, or they just know about market PvP?
Probably not. Why are you making my point for me? That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, just because you've played this game for a while, and you don't know how to get into something, doesn't mean that people that are new to the game, or even other people that are experienced with the game, don't know how to get into it. So, like, you can't talk on their behalf. It's just not an acceptable way to go about conversation.
I can't talk on behalf of people who don't know anything because I don't know it?
Oh
No.
my god, I'm actually agreeing with Redline.
No,
Holy
I'm saying
shit, yeah,
that
like,
I'm saying
you
that
don't know
you
anything, so
can't.
you have no value to add. Is what
I'm
he's
saying
saying. There
that
is no value added.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you can't actually talk about the opinions of new players on something unless you yourself are a new player with an opinion on something. That's what
They
I'm
also
saying.
can't make comments about multi-boxing because they don't multi-box. They don't know what kind
I
of
mean,
like fucking thought
you
processes
can
go into it.
if you get multi-boxed against, then you can make comments on multi-boxing because
That's
it's
what this whole
something
thing
that has an
is. I
impact
keep
on you.
shitting on
What if
Pappy
you
with my
just get
fucking
ganked?
minds.
What if you just get ganked by like
Yeah,
two
you
dudes
could-
or three
Look,
dudes? Like same thing.
Look, Bill, I have seen your Myrmidon kill mails and fresh ganks more than I've seen any other kill mails. You are not shitting on anybody with those, and I don't know who you think you're trying to fool.
Shitting on everybody.
You are
This is
shitting on nobody.
Shitting
You're
on yourself.
literally,
all
you are
of the
literally the fourth best
Redline.
multi-boxer
It's like
in
people
Goonswarm,
think
and
that
there's
I'm on
only 3
X-Lax
of you.
right now because of how much I'm shitting on these people.
Stop it.
There's actually a really interesting comment on this whole industry topic in Twitch chat, which is the idea of, you know, people not valuing player time. Like, the number of people who do not understand the concept that the minerals that you mine are not free is
But if I
incredible.
mine it,
And
it's free.
Twitch chat, I want to really, really fucking enlighten you. The minerals you mine yourself are not free. Like,
your time actually costs something, or it should. You should really look at it that way.
opportunity cost is a real thing, but the number of people that don't seem to understand that, recognize that, and then apply that to their own industrial aspects. I mean, Caleb, you keep talking about how you want to really cut down on the number of multi-boxes around. Those multi-boxes at least value their time. They value the cost.
Oh yeah, true. I just want
How
crafting
about
out of
people
Eve.
who can't, you know, value their own time because they're morons?
I just want the crafters out of the industry game because they do not belong there. If you think that it should be some sort of entitlement that you can build everything yourself and source everything yourself from start of the pipe to the end, well, maybe you should play another game because this is
People
not
do that.
it.
Tons of people do that. Though.
Caleb,
That's something like a lot of people do.
This is a game.
I've never known anybody to actually fully source their entire fucking.
Oh, I have. I had a
lines of
very
Texas.
long conversation with someone this past week about that exact topic, which is probably why Caleb's baiting me into it, you fucker. So, there, it is seriously, there is a lot of people who that is a gameplay, not for the money, but for the engagement of being able to say, I started nothing and I end with the thing. And then I did it again with a different thing. And my entire fleet is all the things I built with all the parts that I built. And they find that super engaging gameplay. And the challenge is literally just gathering and building everything themselves with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 accounts or whatever they take.
And let's
to
be
do it.
honest, how many people are doing this right now in Eve? Like how many?
There's probably more than we think. I'd say it's probably 2 or 3%.
Now, how many of those are in large null blocks?
I have
Does
no
it
idea.
matter?
100. It would be 100%, my dude.
Does it matter?
Like a fucking 100% of them are. Yeah.
No, that's the farthest thing from
That's
true.
not true
I
at all.
have a hard time believing that 2 or 3% of this game does it because there's P. Like, let's take a fucking Union for example. Like, there's P. No, there's not PI in that one.
No,
Okay,
it's probably 2 or 3%. I might even be completely wrong, and it's probably even higher.
We're
There's
talking to build
a
a
people.
super,
There's a
right?
ton of people that play around in high sec, and this is part of why the mineral, the mineral where they got moved around and the scarcity and all that stuff is impacting a lot of people in such a different way because their vertical integration is gone, and now the new industry changes even makes it that much harder. They probably weren't building cap ships. A lot of these guys just go up to like battleships, the stuff that you can do in Empire space.
Why is that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing for somebody to be able to build a
It's
battleship
not a
and then
bad thing,
use it?
but the point that
You can't
Caleb
do
was making is
Battleship
that it is
solo
a
in
bad
Empire
thing.
Space anymore. Or
But
at
again,
least
the whole
not
premise of the
high-spec
build,
Empire Space.
the design of this game was that you were supposed to source things from so many different places that you would either have to have a bigger organization or you would completely lose out on opportunity cost.
How
If
many
you were-
how many years
if
ago
you-
was that, Caleb?
Monopolies, though.
But it's always been like that. It's always been the premise of the game. It's what happened with Tech 2, where they added more fight to nullsec. So actually, nullsec had a massive export good that they could actually export and actually then import the titanium to actually make up for that.
Yeah.
All this has always been a thing. The balance of trade has always been the intention of CCP, design-wise.
Caleb, if you
Caleb,
restrict
simpler
shit
put.
to one area, then you're going to start running into monopolies when when players outsmart the system and they start establishing agreements and start
That's also
hijacking the supply line.
But look, more simpler put,
Chip
CCP
exporting empires. Anyone?
Yeah, CCP has very openly and for a long time said this game is about player interaction, right? And so in that that is where CCP is driving, and why Caleb agrees with that, because
In that it's a
resonates with him.
sandbox. It's a single server game. Of course,
But
it's
it's
about
still
player
a game,
interaction.
and don't fucking tell me how to spend my fucking spare time.
And again, back to the whole point of monopolies and problems with monopolies. Sure, there's a problem if a monopoly is unbreakable, but that has never been true in EVE Online. You cannot effectively hold a monopoly for forever. There's always going to be competition. There's always going to be someone that comes in and tries to break it up, or it's going to actually implode on itself because of the strain.
Let's
There's always a bigger fish.
Let's all tie this together. So, how are people who want to do stuff kind of piecemeal like this supposed to get into industry and compete against the 2 to 3% of people, if not more,
They
who
take
do it
time
all
to
themselves?
skill. They take time to understand, first of all, what it is they need to do. They make plans. They probably need to get multiple accounts. They can figure out how to pay for those accounts in game.
So much fucking helpful resources
and then they execute, Jeremy. And is that going to take a tremendous amount of time? Yes, it is. Welcome to time skill based
Jeremy,
fucking training, my dude.
We don't have to all
Spent
execute.
like an hour
Jeremy,
and a half
do we?
on this shit.
It's not been that long. It's been more like an hour.
How many hours did Kenneth just spend on the new industrial changes? Like 300 hours, something like that. It's probably going to take a while to, figure everything out. It's probably not like a couple hours to be like to bang that shit together, my dude. Like, it's
if Ken spent 300 hours on that shit, I'm gonna be amazed when this all comes
I think
out.
that's what they were
ton of
saying.
hours.
I think that's
You're
what
talking,
he was
are you talking
saying.
about like in the CSM in the back end helping them out, working
So
on
going over spreadsheets.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, it was way the fuck up there.
Trying to
hundreds
unfuck
and
whatever the
hundreds
fuck
and
it is
hundreds
they're
of
trying to do.
hours.
For
Hundreds of
sure,
hours.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. So I mean, it's gonna take time. The thing is like, why do we think that like everything should be immediately accessible to new players? Like that is really shouldn't be the case.
I don't think that's my argument. My argument is that with back to the credit card part, but then the Caleb's part, right? The credit card part is it can make a lot of that accessible to someone who has the money, which makes it accessible when a new player, to your point, can't have access because it will just take time. But with money, you can jump over the time problem.
Sure,
the
but
time-based game.
we've already
right?
talked about how Eve mirrors the real world with N+1, did we not?
Right.
And so basically anything generally in the world we live in is accessible with enough money. Are we not? Right. So why
I
should it
mean,
be
you're
any
not
different in Eve
wrong, which is I
So-
think that gets kind of political though.
Well, I mean, I suppose, but anyway, my point is like the dude can have a whole bunch of money and be really fucking stupid and really not amount to very much either. But if he's intelligent and he has a lot of money, well then good on him. And yeah, sure, he's going to fit right in with all of the veterans of Eve, I suppose. But that's not like every single Eve player ever to play the game. That's going to be like a very small amount of players, guys. Come on. The majority of people are actually gonna have to spend time. They're gonna have to learn things. They're gonna be able to exploit the fucking skill farming thing that we got going on. Which, by the way, like to CCP's credit, has gone down tremendously in terms of like its value. But I think it's still mostly like, even if the accounts are not entirely like 100% free, they're very almost free basically.
I want
And
to see.
so anyone with the essential like intellectual means to stay in this game and really want to do something constructive, I think we'll eventually get there. It's going to take some time, and I think that that's very important. I think that's a feature, not a bug, personally.
And that's
but
where the
just
real
me.
challenge comes into play, right? Is when you do start a game like this, and the game is based on by CCP's. Hey, we want you to interact with people, but people start the game to spend time, and maybe because they saw a battle and they think, hey, how do I spend my free time? it's a solo person doing a solo thing coming into a multiplayer game. How do you bridge that gap? That's really what this whole argument is about.
You need
This
better
whole part-
organizations, Rundle. You need better organizations who are able to take those people immediately, right, and mold them into and explain very very easily
Right.
exactly
But part
what
of this universe, part of this game base of players says, oh, the very first thing you do is get 3 accounts. The very first thing you do is start an alt account. You do this and you do this. So you want to do a little bit of industry. This is how you do this. You do this. You want to do a little PvP. You should do this and get a sign on wall and do this.
Well, I
The
think
games, right? We are almost chicken and egging the whole problem here.
well, I think what they
Introduce
should be
activities that are
doing, what they
single
should be
player
doing.
focused, like escalations that actually yield some sort of reasonable fight. Like the Abyssals, they're 1 guy or 3 guy person things, right?
Yeah, so I think that what these new groups need to be doing, which they're probably not doing, is first determining what these people actually want to do. Like, what do you actually think you want to do, and then literally like give them the tools to go and do that. Okay.
You know what I'd like to do?
Step one,
Work
and
or
then
mine.
explain to them what this game actually is over time.
Bad,
Obviously,
Jeremy. You can't because it's
Look,
gone.
Jeremy-
It's
Yeah,
dead.
I want to
I mean,
mine.
somebody-
Can I go
somebody
mine in
just
this game,
suggested-
please?
Somebody just suggested that the first recommendation given to a new player should be, make a second account, make a third account. That's not true. The first recommendation given to a new player should be, look, delete your account and make a new account based upon
my
a
referral
refer a
link.
friend link.
Yeah.
And,
That always
get
happens.
your
though.
million SP. And the fact that
And then
should
here's the
actually
Horde
be
website.
the
Here you go.
first
No, don't join
recommendation
for it. That's disgusting.
is
Don't promote
dumb
that.
as fuck.
I
Is
mean-
the Dino Nuggets Discord for those of you new bros wanting to join test? Dino Nuggets.
I mean,
group.
people have been arguing for them to be able to be applied retroactively, right? Like if you tell your friend, like say a real life friend, and you're not trying to like recruit
for
some
sure.
newbie into your corp, like, hey man, join Eve Online, and they go Google Eve Online, download the link, and then you're like, oh no, here's my referral link. I was gonna send it to you after work or class or whatever, and then then they have to delete everything, but maybe they already created their character. Then it's like what 10 hours to delete the character and all this other dumb
24.
hoops
They
to
want
jump
the
through.
name. And
24 for the character.
they're already
I have-
attached, right? They've already
Yeah.
deleted it and they're
Hold on.
attached to the name, and they think it's
They
kind of
probably
cool.
spent like 3 hours doing character customization because that's what most new players do and they don't really understand the
I have-
game.
I have a story
5 minutes.
that is a fun one, but it relates to us a bit. One of the people in Goonswarm, he's not the brightest crayon in the box, but he's super sweet.
Like every other group.
So his
Toxic.
character's name is Fourth Time Last Time because he thought when you died you had to make a new character. Legit. So that's why his name.
That's so
Fourth
cute
Time
though.
Last Time.
There is a group of role-playing characters who do that they literally do not believe in the immortality of the clones, and if they die and they're podded, they delete their characters. And they
You know,
start
that is
again.
actually one of the most interesting concepts I've ever heard. Eve on hardcore mode.
Oh no! Don't encourage Rise. CCP Rise will actually appear instant if you keep saying that.
CCP Rise loves it but I like the concept as in you create a new character, you select hardcore mode. You don't have to. It's not suddenly everyone's in hardcore mode, but you select the character in hardcore mode, and maybe you get like a certain amount of SP allocated only to say PvP abilities or something like that, so you can't.
I'd be
Yeah.
interested in that just for
And-
fun.
Yeah,
'Cause
it'd be
it's really
a fun
interesting, like,
experiment.
And you get
subculture.
extra SP, but how much would it cost?
It's
disconnects
actually
way too
interesting.
much. It'll be fine.
But it's actually really interesting to me because one of the other games that I play is Escape from Tarkov, and there's like within the streaming community for Escape from Tarkov, there's like a hardcore set of rules. You have to delete everything that's in your account when you start your account. You can only use your like free save item box for a particular type of item within the game, which is keys. It's a really hardcore shooter, but they make this hardcore challenge to make it even harder, to make that just an insane challenge. And I think that's a really interesting thing to be doing, even within Eve. Eve's a difficult game for a lot of people, and to have this thing that you enjoy that is to any other sane person just crazy hard mode, I think that's cool. that's really just an interesting way to play. And Rain was describing it as a checkbox on a character. I'd be down for that.
See, we love Casey, but the moment we were all asking like, why is your name fourth time last? And he explained, and we're like, oh, poor Casey.
May have done
You know
that
what
with
the
my
best
name.
thing about that is?
There may be a 3 on the end of my name because of something similar.
The best thing about that is that his Goon forum name is like forever that.
Yeah, that's officially his name, but we all just call him Casey.
Can we all agree on something?
Probably
not. Probably not.
Matterall is the real enemy here. Thank you.
I like Matter.
Come to my TED Talk.
Good friend of mine. I like him.
Enemy?
Yeah, I don't think
I'd
we're gonna
have
agree
to
with you
give
on that one.
him a ton of respect to call him an enemy.
Oh shit!
Where did he touch you? That made you have that opinion?
Everywhere. I liked it.
What? Matterall.
I feel like he could
Matterall's the
source
kind
his
of
information
person-
a little bit better. Is what is
Yeah,
my
like-
opinion on it.
Yes, that's my point. Like he doesn't really play the game anymore, and then he offers opinions on stuff that's fundamentally incorrect, and it's like
Sounds
why?
like someone
Well,
I
once
know.
you've been hugged by Matterall, you'll
Red
change your
line.
mind.
Wait, are you saying that I don't play the video game? Where's Rich? Where's Rich? Bots.
Yeah,
Bots. Rich,
you
come
don't
check
play the
my
game
kill
at
board
all.
right now.
You
Didn't
do
you
an
say
hour
you-
and a half show 5 nights a week, a 2-hour show on the weekend. After a while, you know what? You say so much that you're going to get some percentage of it wrong, or you're going to forget something, or you're going to misstep. But
Look, man,
hey,
I
that's
I
just
will
like
say I will say
love to be
this.
right all the time. Go ahead. Sorry.
The metagame
He
is
did
the game.
I
He
will
did a
say
3-hour
this.
review of all the town halls, and I gotta give him props for being willing to go through all of them. Like, obviously he skipped
3 hours.
around,
It was
but
4 hours.
dear God, he sat
3
there
and
and
a
he was
half,
like,
yeah.
"We're gonna
Don't-
listen to this."
Dawn,
Wait,
I
he
don't
did a
have
lot
to
of
give
he
him
put a
don't
lot
throw
of work
you
into that.
there.
No, nobody
Sorry,
should
Redline?
give Matterall props
Why
for
not?
going through all of the town halls because, like, the
I mean,
vast
I listened to
majority
all
of
of
that
them, but-
particular show was him just replaying the town halls.
Oh, there was a
Commentating.
lot of work to do.
Did you
Yeah, he
actually
broke 'em
watch
down.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Every like 2 or 3 minutes, he would go through something and talk about it and analyze it, whatever.
Yeah,
Like
it
saying he
wasn't
just listened to the
playing
town halls is like absolutely untrue.
Yeah, that's just a
We
complete.
had a good discussion after it was over too about the different his opinions
think
and my opinions. And
Yeah,
I like that he made it easy access for those who don't know how to find those, or maybe didn't know that they're all out there available for people to find if you just look hard enough or you just ask enough. So I appreciated that he did that because I hadn't heard the test one yet, and so I got to hear some of the test one, which was
Dawn,
nice.
did you hear the PL town hall?
No, you guys have town halls.
Yes.
You guys meet.
Yes.
I don't know
more
if
of
you
a-
guys.
it's more
I
of a
don't know
town
if-
closet.
Let me
I don't know if
let me
you
tell
people. Hello.
Let
I
me
don't know
tell
if you
you.
people
get our
actually
daily
noticed.
coding.
Hold on.
Did-
I want to
did you-
talk about the PL town hall.
Redline. Can I just point something out? I don't know if
God
people actually noticed
damn it.
that
You weren't even there.
he had actually listened to all of it and put in notes before he did the actual stream. Just to say,
Was
right?
it just headliner talking in a very monotone voice about
No,
something the entire
so
time?
they hold the PL town hall in the cafeteria of the retirement home.
damn
They all eat chocolate pudding, and sometimes if they're really good, they get Jello. Right, Rain?
How would Jello be an upgrade to pudding?
The headliner has like a megaphone so that everyone can hear it, and it gets kind of loud if
Right.
you have younger ears.
And
Putting
fucking
better than Jello?
DJ and Tachi are always sitting in the back. They turn their hearing aids down so they can't hear.
I'll say, can I say two things? I
No,
actually really
just
like
one thing.
Matterall's. I actually really like Matterall's, that whole thing that he did. Obviously he probably had to listen to all of that to then create some form of, it wasn't like, when I say narrative, I don't mean an ideological narrative,
Analysis
but
is what it is.
literally, literally like an actual, but literally to narrate something, right? Is what I'm trying to say. And then secondly, the amount of shit that he took for some of his comments was pretty funny too. So there's that.
The male toxicity. Oh, there's so much male toxicity.
You know what's hilarious? The one thing I love about that, and I don't want to get political, I don't want to get ideological or anything like that, but the one thing I fucking love about that is that I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood for the majority of my life. Okay, like many rough neighborhoods, but just rough neighborhoods in general.
Rough and tough Canadian neighborhood. Let's just have it in context.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't downtown LA, but like I've, physical engagements are not something that I'm unfamiliar with, and I was actually really good at that kind of shit. Anyway, regardless of that, when we talk about Mittens and we talk about masculinity just generally,
Is that what we're gonna do right now?
there's not somebody
Are we
that I
going
would
there?
necessarily
The Chad
categorize
Loki versus
as
the
the
Virgin
most
Mittens.
fucking masculine person on the face of this planet. So when I hear someone like Matterall say toxic masculinity, it implies that there's masculinity there from the very beginning, and that's all I'm going to
Wait.
say on it.
Was
Have
that a
fun.
backhand? That was a
He just
backhand.
didn't like you saying
Yeah,
dicks
I
involved.
mean, no, those are my 2 cents there.
Wait a second. Was there an
I'm
actual
saying-
conversation about like about toxicity on a talk show somewhere?
I just want to.
Yes.
I mean,
Why?
I want to go ahead and talk about Loki and his comments there and
Nice humble
point
brag,
out
Lucky.
that there is actual video footage of Mittens getting spanked live in a bar by a
I took
waitress.
that.
So like
Don took that.
There's also footage of him
dinner.
actually paddling someone. I'm just saying.
So
This is
I'm
just-
not. So what I'm trying to say is this:
healthy
is that
kink is different.
the
to
only
toxic
thing,
masculinity.
the only thing that was wrong with what Matterall said was that, I mean, when I think about toxic masculinity, it's probably someone like either like me or somebody much more masculine than me that perpetuates.
Yeah, like
it.
me.
And it's yeah,
No.
just like you, Marius. Exactly.
Excuse me.
Hilarious.
And
How
I just thought it was fucking hilarious. I understand that. The
I know we
words-
have this group,
the
like
words he was saying, the
thing
words he
of
was
hitting on
saying,
Marius, but
You won.
the words
I
that
thought it was
Mittens,
funny, not fucking redline.
the words that Mittens were saying, I guess to some extent, I guess if you really wanted to look at like how some people define toxic masculinity, I suppose that does.
What are we
apply.
talking
Macho
about?
Man
Hold on.
Randy
At
Savage.
the end
That's
of the day, if I'm
masculinity.
walking through some sketchy neighborhood, that guy's not the guy that I'm fucking worried about. We'll just put it that way. And the end of story. So,
listen,
cheers.
Listen,
trying to
imagine
say
just
that.
imagine going outside in this day and age, in the year of our Lord Anno Domini 2021,
I'm
going
vaccinated.
outside and walking around your neighborhood.
Who
I kind of I
unironically
love that-
says
Sunlight, dude.
Anno
Sunlight,
Domini?
sunlight.
Motherfucker,
I
I,
love-
was raised in the projects. Like, motherfucker, talk shit about me? What?
Oh man.
love the
Okay,
joke you
so
That's
Alabama.
really not cool, Bill.
so
Can we get back to the part where Redline was talking about NC and the elderly?
I wasn't talking about NC and the elderly. I was talking
It's
about PL
PL,
and the
yeah.
elderly, which is honestly, like at this point, it's a great meme. But just gonna say, I love that Matterall has the dedication to do a daily show. I do not have the dedication for that, so I give props to Matterall for that. But I will say something that I was actually looking back at the New Eden report. Rest their soul. And one of their missions was to not be able to be replaced by looking at Reddit's rising posts. And if there was a show about toxicity, it was based off of Reddit posts, which is tragic. And if anybody can pass on the information, don't do that. That's bad news. Because everybody knows that this show is the only show that anybody is ever toxic on. And again, we will berate you, we will call you names, we'll insult your looks, and call you a boomer if you're over 30. Anybody over 30 in here?
God damn it, yes.
A few.
Boomer.
Boomers!
I'm way over 30.
Double boomer.
So people do want to know what Aura. So people do want to know what Aura has to say about all this. So if you give me a moment, I will pass the question on to her, and then she will have a message for us later on towards the end of the stream. At least I think she will. I don't know if she's gonna be doing that. But actually, I think she has something to say right now.
Capsule ears are dog shit.
Oh, hello, friends. I am here to discuss multi-boxing.
No, I Aura's actually talking. You just can't hear it unless you're watching the stream, so I'm
really?
sorry about that.
I look like a dumbass now, huh?
Redline.
Oh, you look like a dumbass.
Redline's trying to cheat us here, Bill.
I'm not trying to cheat. I'm just saying you should watch the stream. But she did say capsule ears are dog shit. So I mean, I think Aura might be the toxic person robot.
Did you
here.
install? Did you install the
not wrong.
Tay AI? Is that what you did?
The
She's
what?
Skynet.
Someone
Kill
says
us all.
Mittens, is that you?
I watch
Oh,
the
jeez.
stream for stream chat. I don't watch the stream to listen to the people who are on it in this fucking Discord channel. Why is Aurora not here with us?
CCP
when
Yeah,
to
Redline.
ban Aurora now.
That's true.
They're banned from Discord. She can't
Would
come
it
on
be inappropriate for me to put a Twitch poll in chat on which show is the most toxic on Twitch?
No, you can do it. But speaking
Should
of
I?
toxic shows,
Yeah, let's speak of toxic shows.
speaking of toxic shows, if you guys are in the Iowa state, meaning the state of Iowa in the United States, Saturday, Dominark and myself, and we're trying to convince Marius, are all going to be in the small town of Pella, Iowa, for their like Dutch ceremony thing. It's like this weird festival thing that kind of happens in small town Iowa.
Is that where you do weird shit to apple pies or something?
No, really, we're
No,
gonna
what?
need some more context.
All right, so
Just like
so
a
they
corn
like
festival.
so they're
Dutch
a bunch of the folks of the town are from Dutch heritage. So there's a bunch of tulips. There's the largest working windmill in the United States. They have like Dutch costumes, wooden shoes, sweet street sweeping. They have Dutch food like poffertjes and stroopwafels.
Sorry, did you just
Do you
suggest that
roll
it's
cheese?
So there is
Yes.
a poll
Like with brooms and stuff,
in the
it's super
chat
cute.
now.
They usually
There's
do it
a-
before the
Dutch
parade.
chocolate.
There's a poll in the chat
Yeah.
where everybody can vote on which show is the most toxic. I can only put
So if
5 in
you're
there,
in-
but it's there.
If you're in the Iowa area, message like Dominark, myself, or Marius. We'll get you in the Discord, but we're all meeting up around like 1 o'clock if you guys want to hang out.
How many tulips on my organ, roses on my piano jokes have to be told in order to join?
What?
None. You had to sing Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
You've already you're in.
If you're lucky, we can go to the vibrator races.
The
They're a lot of
what?
fun. Vibrator races.
Vibrator races.
Oh,
Wait, is that what
yeah.
you sent me a picture of?
Oh
Track.
boy.
Oh, so
Oh,
it is
God.
tulips on their organ. All right.
So we're bridging into the territory of of yikes. I love
The
it.
after show.
I'm,
Hear what
yeah, I think we're there. I think we're definitely. I'm not a
Sound,
prude.
unfortunately.
I'm just a
Yeah,
classy
sound-
bitch.
You're not classy anything, right?
Yeah, if you're in the Midwest, come hang out.
Can
If
we
you're
go back to
vaccinated,
the?
even better.
Can we go back to the vibrator races? This sounds interesting.
I'm pretty sure there's a website you can go to find out more about.
Oh my god, he
vibrator
literally
races.
linked it. Dominark, I think that's against Twitch terms of service.
Find out more about it. We can talk about it on Saturday.
I just want to know,
There's a lot of fun. There's a lot
They're
of
all
fun.
the same. How do you know which one's the best one?
Is there any rules about bringing your own vibrator? And does it have to be washed? Or what?
I wish it was sound to it because it sounded hilarious because they're vibrating in the woods. So it was really loud and it sounded like a race car.
that your video?
No, seriously. Question for Caleb. Caleb, do you not wash your vibrator? And if not, what the fuck is wrong with you?
We just lick it off.
Okay.
Stop.
All right. All right. We are
Clean. Make sure you are clean and hygienic.
in the show.
Fucking Christ.
So I
We're
want
only
to
in the middle of
start.
a pandemic still, guys. Just as a reminder.
Oh, you guys are such pansies.
What about that day when
Oh
it was
shit.
supposed to
Is
be
this
6
show
miles
18
away.
plus?
It ended up being a 70 miles on our
I
bicycle.
think
ride.
I think
It
the
fucking
show is
Yeah, I saw a
18
party
plus.
bike ride.
Oh man.
Oh, it was rough. 70 miles. It's not ready for that yet.
What?
I rode 70 miles.
His vibrator went 70 miles before failing. I mean,
We rode 35 to get there and then 35 back home. It was rough.
Damn, dude. You gotta train for Ragbri.
We're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to jump from 26 to 70.
Y'all did a really good job of killing the conversation, I believe.
I mean,
You guys were talking about toxic masculinity, and yeah, man, I could totally fight that guy.
Hold on.
Like, oh,
we-
like, sorry,
are we
your
gonna-
vibrators make you guys
That was
nervous.
I know Redline wants to talk about it, the initiative's deployment. And
no, he
I don't.
They got punted.
I mean, what is
No,
there
he
really to
doesn't.
talk about? They deployed. Their staging Fortizars now in structure. The backup Fortizar they
oh
dropped
no,
dead.
a building.
The Astor House they
Oh,
moved
no.
their clones to
Oh,
is in
no.
armor.
Building the
Sorry,
first
they're-
Goods didn't do anything out of one DQ.
Yeah. So
Don, this
so if
isn't
we were
fucking
to
hard.
if we
They
were
need
to
to
bring
record it.
a
Redline, you
point
gotta really be
forward,
assertive, buddy. Come on.
I
You
don't
can
need
do
to
it.
be that assertive. I can just continue talking, and eventually
Day
everybody
one.
else will stop.
Day
trust you to
one
be
of
So-
their deployment, they get camped into their staging
As
Fortizar
the
by Slide.
resident, literally
gotta
as the
start, buddy, come on.
resident person, that is directly involved with this stuff,
You don't log
I
in.
would deem it appropriate to let you all know that the initiative decided that they would come and fuck with PanFam, which worked out so well last time you came to fuck with PanFam. I don't know why that's your target, but I mean, more power to you. If you want structures to get killed, feel free. That's fine.
I mean, you guys are complaining a lot about free
Why
content.
are you?
I'm not
I was gonna say,
complaining.
why are you whining?
Who's
That's what I
complaining?
hear. A lot of bitching and whining, like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." Blah, blah, blah. Why are they fucking doing this? Blah,
For
blah,
people
blah.
who don't actually know,
Do you hear me complaining about anything? I'm just saying,
No,
I'm not
that was
sure.
good.
I'm not
Just
sure
shake your ass back to
why.
Great Wildlands Middle.
I'm not
So-
sure why
Why-
why that was
wouldn't
the
you be more
target.
like, yes, initiative, come over and hang out with us. Not trying to discourage them. Why aren't you trying to encourage them to be there? Why don't you let them get a staging for Desire down so that way they stay there
Nah.
to paddle with you? No, because you guys don't want them there. You don't want them pressuring you because you're scared of them.
It's
We're
a
not
waste
scared of them.
So Don, let me clue you in. Let me clue
If you
you
weren't
in
such
real quick.
giant
Can we
pussies, you
talk
would let
about
them
what
go to
actually
Desire
happened
down.
for people
No,
who don't know
we
what
can't.
happened?
It's fine. So Don, let's go back to this we're scared of in it. Okay, the last time we fought in it on one of their deployments, it was when we were killing GOTG or Darkness or whoever, and they literally deployed everything for
That's a long time ago.
3 days.
That's a very
literally
long
last
time
year.
ago.
It was literally last year. They deployed everything for 3 days and then fucked off because they couldn't do shit. Like,
Yeah,
that's
there's-
the alliance
there's-
we're
That's
supposed
a
to be
lot
scared
longer
of.
ago than last year.
I'm
but
just
yes,
saying.
but
Happily
you
killed
take history
Rick
as you
against
like.
Ishtar. It was great.
I helped take your
Rid of
sub
them
and
so they don't
Cobra.
hurt your crabbers. If you weren't
ahead.
so afraid of them, you'd let them put something down, so you could have easy content to follow.
Why would you
don't
let?
want it.
No, that's
Why
not how
do
this
we
game
care?
works. Dawn, this is not how this game works. You don't
How this
let
works.
people do
If there was
things.
something
God.
to be afraid of, then the fort would have lived, and the main
gotta give them a
fort would still
Even
would
if
be instructed.
even if Init holds us in that area, you still don't leave 1DQ to do shit.
This is true.
You guys are the invaders.
Even today, Legacy outformed Goons in 1DQ.
Because you guys can't form a successful invasion on your part.
They form a successful
I mean,
defensively.
they are.
The last time they went
they-
up against Initiative was in Fountain, and they glassed them handily.
They are
Wait,
being
dude.
invaded though, so like they don't
Dude,
have
dude,
to
you-
invade back. but
You've literally been invading us for nearly a year
And-
now.
It's
We're
not-
getting on
It's year
towards
10
in
months?
July,
that point.
please. Please,
Do you
it's
not
year in
know how
July.
this
10 months.
How many
The siege
people
works
are
in the fact that we can sit in an area and control an entire vast of land
Absolutely.
and not give a shit about what you're doing the entire time.
Do you also know what you need to make a siege successful? You need to take the Citadel, buddy. Keep coming.
We've taken pretty much everything except for
I
your
mean-
plot of shit land
Yeah,
that
we're
nobody wants.
here, you
I mean,
stupid bitch.
again, welcome to. You need to take the Citadel.
Yeah, we
to
can sit
take the
outside your
castle.
walls forever. It's called a
Yeah,
siege.
I
It's full.
said-
Guys,
Go
guys,
in.
seriously, the fun is actually in the bedroom. It's waiting in the bedroom. Stop hanging around outside
we've
the
had
fucking
the
door.
fun. We've had the daily whelps of billions a week at this point of you just feeding into the great sausage grinder of the Pappy Arms. Whenever we want to, we can ring the
yeah.
dinner bell of the 3 tag V
Didn't
1DQ.
you guys lose a bunch of shit to Pharaxes or something and Hodreds or?
no, the opposite.
You feed
That was the
your
op-
multiple hundreds
He's
of
talking about the
characters that
one
you
fight
fed
they
last
won.
week. Oh,
Yes, the one fight we
Well,
won.
no, the Ferox lost.
One.
They lost.
What? There were more than one, good sir. I
It
also
was-
remember.
Oh,
Whoa,
vividly
whoa,
blowing you
whoa,
out
whoa,
of
whoa!
the sky.
Don just made the claim that Goons have won one
There was
more
more
than one
than
major
one.
fight. Don substantiate, because I'm not tracking more than one major fight win.
Anything.
M2
I
tag?
don't have motivation to go look for this.
That was kind of a doozy.
I think we came
No,
out
I'm
on
talking
top of
about
him.
since we've moved into the 1DQ area, or we've begun the siege of 1DQ. Let's say.
Move next to
Have
when are we
Are
when are
we
we
the siege of
calling
1DQ?
the siege of 1DQ? Like, yeah, what
Started last week.
Started last week. Okay, so
you had
last
one-
week is the
wait,
justification.
You had
of
one
that
fight
start
where
with
you
the-
tried to argue that
We're going to make it to one day
count.
yonder.
And two, you actually
So,
did.
if you're so tired of losing arguments, don't just like dawdle and fucking, what are you
Good
trying
one,
to do?
Billy.
Like,
That was well.
pretend.
Super smart.
Oh, like seriously, if you can't
buddy, old
actually
pal.
come up with a reasonable, if you can't actually come up with a reasonable argument of why you're not losing, don't just pretend to sing a song to divert attention away from the fact you're getting absolutely fucking obliterated as you sit inside your fucking cage.
No, seriously, suggesting that just because we can't say we're not losing means that you're winning is
We lost
brutally,
42.
completely.
I mean, let's
wrong.
be honest
you
here.
gotta come in.
Hold on. Wait a second. Wait. Hold on. Wait a second. Hold on. Shut up for a second. Shut up for a second. There are two parties involved in this war. It is the Imperium and everyone else. If everyone else is winning, then I'm very sorry, but the Imperium is losing. This is not a fucking kindergarten soccer match. There are winners and losers, and no one gets participation trophies. You are
bullshit.
you are
Fuck
getting
that.
you are getting
There's no winner or loser until the war is
you
over,
are
first of
getting
all.
shredded. The score is 100-10. You are getting shredded to bits.
12.
Then why haven't
Come
you
into the
just
Citadel,
removed us
then.
already then? If you've won
Come
so
to
We
long.
have removed you from 4 regions. We were heavily fortified. We were doing dozens of structures a week at this point.
Doing your shit
Dozens.
anyways, even with you here. So I don't want to fucking hear it. It doesn't matter what anyone fucking do.
So this is what everybody came for, is the trash
It
talk.
may actually have been
So
more than
real
a
milk.
month ago. It may have been
Trash talk,
more
trash
than a month
talk.
ago, but you lost in your own space cord satios worth multiple hundreds of
And
billions.
so
of
did you. This
Okay.
is a self-made
So did
Whoa,
we.
let's be clear here.
Absolutely.
We lost one.
You are coming
worth
to
hundreds
us
of
and saying that you are doing so well. You're really just dominating everything. You're not going to
Andrew's
come into one
dominating
DQ.
everything.
Outside of
You guys
the
Where's your 1DQ assault, buddy? Come on.
It's just started. Look, so
You
let me
don't
set the stage for
understand.
you, because I really wanted Grath to come on the show tonight, because we had a pretty decent conversation, unfortunately on Reddit, but it's there, where he said that we basically have taken too long to do all this, that it took us 10 months to get to this point, but I don't think what you guys failed to understand is the fact that through this entire time, we have burned through 4 regions of space. 4 entire regions chock full of
And
structures.
it's
No, I don't think you do, and
No,
you're
no,
not.
really,
You are
seriously,
not
take it
going
down.
to interrupt me. You're gonna
Good,
let
I
me
do not
finish
set the
my
timeline.
my point, because what I'm gonna say is simply the fact that you want to recognize like a defensive effort, but you refuse to recognize an offensive effort, right?
Oh, no,
So
no, we
the
recognize
Seriously,
that.
Redline, do you
What?
know that there is such a thing as too much foreplay?
I mean,
we've seen
look,
this. We've seen this coming. We've
You
seen
can-
this
It's not.
Capitulate after like 3 months of a war or whatever because they just get tired of being there. People just don't lose wars because you're the goal you set isn't met. They don't just leave your space because they're not going fast enough for you. This very methodic and systematic well, hold on, I can't use that word.
Look,
word now.
so
Apparently
so
it's
let
fine.
me
The
put it
timeline
in
is
let me put it in
your
context you might
timeline
understand, right?
Plan is invalid.
So I have 2 cats, and sometimes they like to fight. And when my one cat knocks the other one on top of the head, and then the other one runs off, and then the first one has to chase him, that second cat that got knocked on the head is losing the fight. It's just he wants to run off and get away from the first cat that's bopping him. We are the first cat. We are scratching the shit out of you, and every time we do, you're running further away into your hidey hole, to the point where you literally have to, like, somebody in your alliance, in your group, has to be constantly writing morale posts to where everybody still logs in and wants to do this shit
That's
after
pretty
10
hilarious,
months.
given some of your morale posts that have
I
been
feel
going
like
on. But
I mean,
Redline,
possibly.
historically throughout like the entire existence of humanity, that this is a pretty standardized defense strategy.
What? To
I
sit
don't
there and
know,
say,
we
no,
have
no,
to
no,
be
guys,
crazy
we're
to get to
winning.
this point.
misinterpreting like literally everything anytime anybody's ever defended anything. But
you guys are always bringing up being outnumbered, right?
Shut up! Literally the dumbest person.
Shut up! I'm talking.
Literally the dumbest.
You're so fucking dumb. You cannot address a single actual valid point. So you're gonna keep.
Staying
I mean,
is
he
a
started
strategically
to make a
viable
point and
fucking
you
region
yelled
for us.
over
Do
him.
you think the Germans? Do you think the Germans more
Oh,
We're not
dear
talking
Lord,
about
no,
German. We're not
that's
talking
not
about
that's
We're not
not
talking
the
about
point that we
German.
want to.
I don't want to. Go.
Jeremy, you do not want to
you
say
haven't
that.
taken Berlin's, so we're
No,
fine
we're not
here.
talking about German. Shut the fuck up. I'm going to repeat
Jeremy.
myself.
Exactly, Jeremy. Do you think that Germany was on track to win?
Oh dear Lord, no, we are not doing this.
We're actually shot himself.
Hey Marius. Oh, he's gone already. That's cool. That's fine. It is what it is.
Jeremy, you're
I
not
mean,
too, dude.
that's what happens.
Oh, wait, Jeremy came back. Jeremy, shut the fuck up.
It's fine.
In
It's
all
fine.
seriousness,
We're not
if-
comparing any of this shit to any real life stuff because that's not what we do. We don't refer to our enemies as things
I'm
like
not
that.
referring
It's
to them as
wrong
anything.
shit.
I'm
And we're not talking
you're
about
gonna
it.
shut
So
up
it's
for
cool.
Analogies of a video game, dude.
We're not we're not
his-
talking about it. So anyways,
real
continue,
Eve
Dick.
talk. If you think that we aren't aware of what we've lost already, then you're delusional.
I think that
If you
there's
think
about a
we aren't
dozen of you that
willing
are.
to continue to take that risk, then you're delusional.
So I think that there's about a
And
dozen of you
at the
that
end of the
are
day-
aware of what you've lost, but there's like 29,988 people that do not understand what you've lost and are taking the fact that like everybody's like holed up in one little constellation and saying, "Hey, look guys, we're not dead yet. So we're still winning."
I would say three.
expected everybody
That
to
group
disband
right there
and
is now
run
left
out.
on DQ yet.
Can
So-
we just point out
What are
that
you even talking about? Like, this is like a piece of fucking propaganda that's so fucking annoying. It's like, do you actually think we fucking
Yes,
expected
because
you
you
to
said that on this show, on this fucking show, Billy. You said, "Oh,
I said
fucking
your
50%
fucking
of your
numbers
people are
would
gonna
drop by
fucking
30
leave."
fucking percent, and your numbers have dropped by 60
I know
fucking
exactly
percent.
what the fucking goons are
Look at your
gonna do.
fucking numbers, you retard.
They're
Like,
gonna
come
fucking
on.
leave.
It's not.
Hey, Bill, real quick.
No one feels losing is
So big
playing
Bill,
school ground
real quick, I have to just
No, I'm
ask
not
you.
offended by that.
So
You
like
don't have to worry.
I'm gonna mute you real quick so that I can talk to you directly. If you want to be a part of this conversation, then you need to let people talk when they're talking. And if you're gonna do that,
me? Like,
if you're gonna do that child playground bullshit and just spill gibberish over somebody when they're talking, then we don't really value your opinion.
You mean
So
the sort of child's playground bullshit?
everybody
where
else does.
Somebody
So
calls somebody else a
nobody
retard?
else sits there. Nobody else sits there. No. Nobody else sits there and goes boo 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 while somebody else is talking. That is literal.
I was
That is
fucking
that's
mimicking what he was saying.
yeah, and that's bullshit. You're
Yeah,
just
I was
going boo boo
actually-
boo boo
I was
boo boo
actually
boo for
saying
the
what
whole
he
time he was
said.
talking.
I was adding a inflection to it, though.
Nonsensical
Yeah,
argument to
because
try to deflect and
all
not
you
actually have an
can
argument.
do-
That's what it is.
Yeah, all you can do, Bill, is repeat the argument that's been presented to you, but in a dumb way, because you think that spins it so that they're wrong. But it doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means you have nothing to say.
No, okay, so
has anyone started building capital ships in the new industry yet? I have yet to find anyone.
I would like to
find
commend
anyone.
Can I just commend Rain for not singing along with Dunk Dinkle's little thing?
Why are you commending
So-
Rain for not singing along instead of commending me for singing along? Like I don't get it.
Can I just point something out, please, real super quick, and then I'll never talk again. So Merkel Chen's
I'll
point
hold you to that.
on the meta show. Yeah, if you don't fucking interrupt me, please. So Merkel Chen's entire point on the meta show was, okay, well, we can grow to this point. You guys are gonna team up the entire fucking game wheel. They're gonna come. They're gonna kill all of our shit, and then you're not gonna finish us, and that's just gonna be okay. Well, cool. We'll just do it again, right? So my question is, I guess, to anyone who wants to answer this, you don't have to answer this, but like, what are we doing to prevent that? because I'm not somebody who's been necessarily historically fond of the goons. You can showcase me in whatever the fucking category or box you want to, but I'm actually interested.
Okay.
In the
So-
casino war, I like individuals within the thing, but I've been also indoctrinated, like most of the game, to dislike the goons, quote unquote, for the majority of the time that I've been around. And the fact that like I've been evicted by them like 3 or 4 times at this point. So
Who hasn't?
right. So
could I
with your
could I maybe answer? Could I maybe
sure,
answer?
go for it.
So my view is just speaking for me and Brave. Right. So we don't have any personal grudge against people in the Imperium. They're nice people. We like drinking beer with them at meetups and fighting alongside them when they're our allies. But at the time the war began, the Imperium posed an existential threat to the entire game in terms of their power. Their power was so strong, so overwhelming that it needed to be taken down, because if we didn't stop them then, there'd be no stopping them from basically having unassailable power. And so it has taken 10 months or whatever the count is for every other major power in the game to combine their forces to basically fight for 10 months in this endless grind to push the power of the Imperium back. That's how strong they are. That's how dedicated they are. That's how powerful they are. That's how much resources they built. It was an immense amount. And if we didn't try to stop them now, there's no way in a year we would have a chance of ever doing something like this again. So my opinion was, if we try now and we fail, well, then it's inevitable. They'll never be stopped. If we try and we knock them down to size, at least we gain another year, another 2 years before we have to face a reinvigorated Imperium who will be, get back to the strength that they basically pose still in this game. So for me, it's an existential threat that if we didn't stop them then, there would never be a time we could stop them. And it has taken the combined power of everyone else in the game to try and just get them to where we are in this titanic slugfest that's gone on. So that's my point of view on it. It's not to exterminate them or get them to quit the game. It's to just simply pare down the power so it's not they can stand against the entire universe.
I just want to, before I know Bill keyed up, and I want to make sure that I get in before Bill does, and yet not one power block could stand against another single power block alone. You want to go at that? We'll all be handing it across to the third one. We were in an interesting stalemate, and
I think that's where I slightly disagree. I don't believe that it was. The goons have stood up to everyone so far. They have not been defeated, and no other group could have done what the Imperium has done alone.
Can I
And
just
so
say
I
that?
think that is a difference.
Can I just say that Dunk's Casus Belli is the best one I have heard in this entire fucking war.
I mean, yeah, you can say that.
Most reasonable
but
way.
but Dirk,
Yeah.
do you not remember like Tribute and Veil, all that shit?
Dunk.
There was like that was the Imperium just coming in and steamrolling like the majority
Tribute
of
and
Pain
Veil,
right?
You retreated.
Right, because there was literally no point in contesting most of the shit because we couldn't. So instead of saying, "Hey, we're winning the war," we literally were like, "Hey guys, there's no way we can fight this. We're gonna take like fights when we can, but we're not going to actively defend this because we can't." Like that was what was said.
Want SP Horde to help you, or was it defensive?
Well, no. Actually, the question there is, okay, did you not have the power to contest us, or did you
Yes.
not have the power to control all of your space and contest us? Was it an example, perhaps, of overreaching
look,
an organizational struggle?
I was there when I watched the goons jump north, right? I watched how many things they brought north, and no one could contest that. No individual group could contest the power they imposed on the north when they went and glassed it. No one could.
I started playing Eve in Nullsec really when Tribute was glassed, so I can testify to the extraordinary nature that the Goonswarm fleets had during that time.
I mean,
if that was
like,
when
I
you
didn't-
started, you can't testify to the
no,
extraordinary nature of anything.
I mean,
So,
me, Loki, and
get the fuck
Sager can
away.
probably contest the actual thing that happened, and our
Rain was there
alliance
too.
leaders, and
Rain
Rain
was
can,
there.
and
Well,
our
can we
leaders literally saying to us, they literally said, like, hey, Goons brought all of their super caps up. Most of the important stuff is already gone. We're gonna move our deployments around. We're gonna move our staging around as they push in. We're gonna take fights
fair
where we
enough.
can, but we're not gonna win this. So that right there, that's a respectable
comment-
stance on this, right? That's a
that
respectable stance
commentary-
on an extermination
Perfectly
level
reasonable.
threat. Right, exactly.
Jeremy turning around and saying, "I started playing Eve at the time,
No,
and
well,
then this was extraordinary," when he doesn't know what ordinary was in the first place. That's dumb as fuck.
What you were
But,
doing is that
I
you're constricting
have
your
the
forces into
ability
single-
to look
God.
for current experiences and then look at past experiences and go, man, this was a extraordinary event I had lived through or I had been a part of.
All right, Bill, go. What were you saying?
I was saying, so what the decisions of your leadership were to constrict the forces and to get everybody more closer towards the center of your establishment, your fucking civilization or whatever, which is all of a sudden a fucking terrible thing now that the Imperium is doing that. I don't get.
Not necessarily. So what I'm saying is that, like, not being able to admit that you are being defeated is not, it's terrible because of in the difference of commentary there, right? So like you had the leaders from Tribute and Veil literally saying point for point, hey, look, we can't match this shit. And you have leaders from the Imperium saying, hey, bring it on, we'll kill you where you stand, and telling everybody that everything is going to be fine, we're never going to lose, when inevitably, at the end of the day, what do you mean?
This is a perception. I think this is a difference
Nobody
of
has said
perceptions.
that everything is going to be fine.
So everything that I read from all the normal ship posters, and I do respect that they're ship posts, and I try not to read them so much, but everything that I read simply states that we have done nothing to chip away at the power of the Imperium, and that even if we do take one DQ, you'll just be an NPC delve and be as strong as you ever were. Which
we know
all
Correct.
of these things are not true, and Don
As
says
you
correct.
say, you
right?
respect that they're shit posts.
We know that the
I
power
do.
protection mainly comes from the super capital and Titan forces at this day and age of the game Eve. So until there is a significant hit on either side regarding that power projection force, then it's
You
still
cannot
kind of,
effectively project from NPCs.
Sorry, Jeremy.
based on
Please
scale.
speak. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry, that's my bad. That was
You're
my
No,
bad.
no, you go ahead. You have something super fucking important to
Bill,
say.
Well,
when you're talking, Bill, when you're talking about like a big hit, like wasn't that what M2 was all about for both sides?
But was
But it
that
was
Like
enough?
both sides lost over what 150 Titans, like.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
it
not
negates.
enough.
You see what I'm saying? It's like they negate it since there are equal numbers, but aside from like the
Oh, I
secondary,
see what you're saying. Okay.
they negate themselves. So we're still at like 0.0, like the first step, right?
The numbers, regardless, are even on all sides versus one side coming out ahead or whatever.
Yes, exactly. So there has to be a significant like win on one side of the power projection force, and that is currently in the game the Supers and Titans. Now, yes, losing structures does suck. I personally lost a bunch of them that were named Penguin suck, but
that was so rude.
Well, the
by the way,
M2
for you
whole
to do that.
timer was the major swing, and you still couldn't win after having that massive advantage. So I'm not.
Back to
Wow.
can we just go back to Dunk's whole condition and actual cause of
No,
war?
I don't want to redirect from this. I want to know why, even with a massive super capital and Titan advantage, Goonswarm still couldn't win the war.
So the bad news, Jeremy, it's because even losing, or say even though they had like, what was it, like, I think the lowest number you can come up with is 60 and the highest is like over 100. Like even with 100 Titan advantage with numbers, it still doesn't matter because they either get replaced or it's easy to build new ones, and like that I think is the issue of the game, right?
Well, just to ask Dunk about where he thinks this is right now. Is the goal achieved? Because right now has enough actual Supers and Titan stashes actually disappeared to equal the playing
no
field.
way.
Right?
No way. No way.
Exactly.
Still 1,000 something fucking Titans on each side. Like it's absurd right now. It needs to be cut in like 75%. It needs to be cut down by like 75%.
What do you mean?
just,
cut it
I've
down by
said this
75%,
on-
so there's only 25% left. I get that.
I've said this on other shows, but just delete supercaps, man. Like
We
really
can't delete
just...
supercaps.
That is a very smooth brain take right there. You can't just do that.
It's a very bold production.
very
and
stupid-
Certainly,
But
it has a long-term impact on CCP's bottom line, and I appreciate that. You can't do that.
So
but
I
if you
do
want
think,
to
though,
really address the
we
issue
want-
of super capitals over superiority, you delete everyone's super caps. You level the playing field on
Well,
that.
then you delete keep stars as well.
You can't.
Sure,
yeah,
why not?
well, I mean, to be fair, at this
There's
point
no
you
need
may as
for
well.
one if
We've
you
all got
do.
about the same number, and we've got 5 of them in 1 DQ. So keep coming.
I would like to respond to
We don't
Jeremy's earlier
all have the
comment.
same number. You have 5. I think we have more. We have more. Test has more.
11
keep stars than you do.
No. We have 5 in 1 DQ, buddy. We've got about like 7,
We have
8,
11.
9 in that constellation that you
11.
keep running your face into. So keep coming, buddy.
Yeah, I'll keep coming because you keep feeding.
So Jeremy,
there it
let me
is.
explain something to you. So, like, you said, how come after the M2 timer we didn't win the war? First of all, there wasn't enough of a significant loss on one side that was would swing the war in one direction. And
Look
second
at the
is that-
numbers.
Let him talk. Let him
Oh
talk.
my God,
Okay.
Jeremy. And secondly is that whenever you're in this type of, like, we're being invaded, there is a N+1 advantage over the Imperium right now. So therefore, the N+1 advantage wins in a scenario of larger territories, right? But when you constrict all the forces into a singular area, the N+1 advantage is able to be overcome with certain strategies such as bottlenecking and various things like that.
Mitigated. The words you're looking for there is mitigated, Bill.
Okay, look
Jeremy,
at the morale
before
hit
you,
we.
Before you do anything, before you say anything, let me just. I know that he was addressing you, but I feel like you missed your point, right? So Jeremy isn't necessarily saying that you killed enough of our Titans to make a difference in what was actually happening. Jeremy is more asking why you sat in M2 instead of going and reinforcing our keep stars while you had a very clear advantage in both morale and the fact that by your own records, you guys had over 300 of our Titans, so a third of our super capital fleet stuck under bubbles in M2. And instead of redirecting that...
You know what, actually? There's a
Soon
really
as we-
interesting point here in that whole question. And it's because it comes back to multi-boxing.
No,
Turns out,
it does.
Wow,
Stop
we're
it.
going back
No,
there.
we cannot go back full circle.
Really, it actually does. Turns out most of our supercap pilots are alts, and they are alts of the subcap pilots that we would be using to hit your structures. And
Okay.
if we want to focus on one objective and make sure that it's tied down for as long as possible, we are better served by having that one player with his 2 accounts, and he can only focus on one of them at one time, focusing on the one that keeps you tied down.
But the thing is
It
that
kept you
Because,
tied down.
As it
No,
turns
let me do this.
out,
Let me do this.
when
Guess who
your
learned-
strategy,
Let me just give you a different opinion.
when
Learn
your
that lesson from
strategy
UALS.
comes down,
y'all would
when your
find out.
strategy comes down to tiring us out and burning us out and slowly driving that knife through that shield. Thank you very much, Dunk, for that particular quote, by the way. When it comes to that, the longer that we can draw out this whole fight, the less time you have before your guys start dropping off as well. Because, again...
Hold on, that's completely false.
Keep coming at the Citadel.
It's not false, but it's fine.
No, it
So
is, because if we look...
So after M2, right, the reason the Imperium couldn't just simply start trying to use their supers to reinforce everything is they would have to take their boot off of M2 at some point, or they would have to engage in another super fight of basically equal, because the foot they have to keep in M2 to hold it down would limit them on how much they could respond to another super capital fight. So it's really not realistic to ask the Imperium, why didn't you use your supers immediately after M2? I think the one missed opportunity was in that week after M2, that was the time the Imperium could have sued for peace and got some sort of agreement. And they didn't attempt it, right? They didn't attempt to get out of the war at that point when they had the morale advantage. And that was the point. And then when a month later, 2 months later, when the coalition forces realized that M2 is not the end of it, it's been an albatross on the Imperium, the morale, I guess, differential, if you will, was lost. And so the chance of suing for peace was gone. So that was the moment. If 2 days after M2, Mittani wanted to negotiate.
I'm not going to refute this. I just want to ask, Dunk, why do you think we would come to that negotiating table? Why do you think we want peace at that point or any point after? Like, where do we go, considering that we had an agreement and
I know
Legacy kind of like went, yeah, we don't want this agreement anymore. Why would we come to you with an agreement that you didn't want in the first place?
I know that Imperium leadership wants the war to be over. I know from discussions directly with them, they want the war to be over. And they will do a lot of things to get the war over without having to admit defeat. So I think that they want it to be over. That was an opportunity for the war to be over, and they didn't take it for whatever reason, and probably good reasons, but they didn't take that one moment in which the war could have ended in that week. And then, but once it was realized that this was not a death knell to the coalition, that window closed. And so I still don't know how the war is going to end, but that one moment,
a destruction of Goonswarm, because none of us want peace with any of you. So if Mittens had offered peace out, we all would have been up in arms about it. And that's
not happened with GOTG. It's happened before, but PanFam would have never surrendered. PanFam has been through that through UALX. That's how PanFam. So particularly, there's been a lot of shout-outs with some of the NC US Time Zone FCs. That's why they picked up the morale boosting, because they knew, hey guys, they're all sitting there just like tested in UALX. They're not going to be able to do shit. So let's go out and like farm them. And that's what PanFam did.
So I mean, props to Horde and
entire perspective. Like
they still had the capital advantage.
PanFam still did shit, and they would have never because they weren't worried.
We didn't have the morale. Like if you went and straight after the war, straight after that fight, went and made some kind of counting, like not even like a real, like a counting coup strike against us, like anchored a siege fort on one of our keep stars, like all of them, and started reinforcing our hebs. And if you just did something besides sit there and burn everyone out,
8 iHubs the next day. What the fuck are you talking about?
I disagree.
Jeremy, are you saying that are you saying that the Pappy leadership is so dumb that as soon as we left to go do something else, that they wouldn't all mass log in and get all that shit out right then and right there?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
leadership's too dumb to make that decision, which they would have done.
I'd actually like to point out to Jeremy that we spent a ton of time burning their backfields while their supercap fleets were stuck, and we're still playing around in their backfields.
Let's talk about that then for a second.
Those systems that they were going to hold.
Can you let me talk for a fucking second? Jesus Christ. So, here's the thing. When you had us, quote unquote, trapped, right? And you're like, oh, fuck it. You got me so far off the fuck, I forgot my point.
Okay, can I ask a question then? Because I kind of liked where Dunk took this, except I cannot see in any scenario where it would be beneficial for the Imperium to sue for peace, or where any kind of peace would ever have been given. So I think it was a bit of an unfair what if scenario, because it would never have happened. And I think, really, would you ever have given peace in any condition on those terms?
After M2, I can tell you we were fucking decimated.
But did you want peace? Did you want to actually withdraw?
Well, peace, no, but were we willing to surrender? Who knows? Like, at that point in the war, things were rough, man. Like,
but I think we can talk about it now because we're past that point. But I'm like, people don't want to believe it, but that was a moment that was missed as an opportunity. And
you think if we just beat your faces in again,
so that wouldn't
super capital fight,
that wouldn't have been
every super capital fight.
That would not have been an opportunity, because I can tell you from the perspective of someone in PanFam that if the approach was made to sue for peace, and it was done like if Legacy had
saying
made
what I'm
that
saying?
move.
I'm not saying
Yes,
it
I
would have
am.
happened. I'm not saying it would have happened.
I'm
right?
just saying,
I'm not
like,
saying it would have happened.
PanFam would not
but
have
that
been
was the
okay
moment.
with it.
Right.
Maybe, I
That
don't
was
know.
the
I'm not
moment if they
leadership
were
of
gonna
PanFam.
try. That was the moment to try for it. To Jeremy's point about why weren't they unleashing their supers, the Imperium's choices after the M2 were not terrible, right? I wouldn't want to have my people sit for 2 months in a gate camp, but we did that at ULAX, so I wouldn't want that. But they did what they thought was the best thing, right? And that's that. But that was the one moment I was like, this war might be over, in my mind.
Oh, I think everyone involved in that in any serious way was like, "Welp, what now? This isn't looking good." And we came through in part because a lot of FCs just started giving us, small, especially NC, PL, props to y'all. Y'all started coming out, giving us, just giving us some victories to go off of, giving us a little momentum, and just snowballed from there. And be able to retake it in part because goons didn't use the momentum to snowball to try to push the tide back, right, and make it harder for us to take what we had lost in that preceding. So you got 8 iHubs. Did you get any delve structures? Did y'all go after any kind of?
That's what we got. We got rest.
Rest.
Did you
So
get rest though?
an interesting thing that you bring up with the
Jeremy,
with the
you
point
keep trying to
of-
chase them and tell them how they felt, and you can't tell them how they feel, right?
You really can't.
Yeah, that's fair.
But now at least you guys know how it feels to be camped in. So if
we
it
knew
happens,
how to-
if it happens
What?
again, not you, Dirk. I'm talking to Jeremy. So now you guys know how that feels. So if it happens again, you'll be prepared for it, and there won't be quite as much feeling decimated as last time, right? We'll know that it takes
They have an opportunity
max.
to change their narrative, though, right? So instead of going like, "Oh yeah, we got 50 keep stars, come at me, bro. You won't be able to burn them down," to, "Yeah, we got 6 or 7 now, come at me, bro." I mean, they're able to take time to change their narrative and change their propaganda. It was probably really valuable for them.
I think we
I
ever
mean,
changed our
we
narrative
we
from
called it. No,
was,
no.
You
right,
demonstrably have changed your narrative
I-
at different
week to week.
I'm
Continue
gonna-
to move.
Find my quote, please, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and reiterate something that I've said multiple times tonight, and it absolutely fits the Fortress Delve narrative. Come into the Citadel and see how you feel then.
We are, and you are
don't
feeding
understand
horrendously.
that
about,
these
you
things take
apparently you don't
time.
understand what
Okay,
Citadel
Same
is.
thing about
Okay.
floodplain, Fortress Delve. You've said it over and over again. It's just dwindling, but you're just changing the narrative slightly, so you feel better about it. But every sane person realizes what you're doing. But it's all right. You keep doing it.
I don't need to feel better about this.
you don't what you don't understand when you say come into the Citadel, right? Is that these things take time, right? You have good ADMs in the constellation, right? So we're gonna take shut up, Don. I'm sick of your shit.
Never. I don't
These
fucking
things
care.
these
Got
things
big
take
mouth.
time. And to ignore that is just it's military reductionism, if you want to call it that. It's
word.
just not an accurate representation
I would
of
suggest
the war.
I would suggest that arguing about it is useless because no one's going to agree about it. The only thing is going to what happens on the grid, right? That's the only thing that matters. You're never going to convince each other about who is or isn't attacking, or does that count as an attack? You're not going to convince anyone, right? The
This
truth
is
will be on the
Trash Talk
grid.
Tuesday. This is
Can
my
I
fun.
can I make 2 points though? So the entire definition of a siege, the entire reason there is a siege is that you weaken the forces from inside over time. Okay, so I guess Marius isn't wrong in what he's saying. It's just that usually those people starve to death. That's the entire point of a siege. In this game,
I thought we weren't talking about real life comparison.
when you use the word siege, you're literally making a comparison into real life, unfortunately.
Nah,
So
starve to death
I'm
doesn't
limited.
happen in
I'm
games.
limited. Yo,
Fortress Delve.
Your resource
Okay.
constraints.
We can bring resources in through NPC Delve any day we like. So
Do it
keep
then.
coming at us.
NPC Delve is
We
not
do.
the Citadel thing that you're talking about. So don't compare them.
So
Don't
it's
change your
literally-
wording, don't change your narrative.
NPC Delve isn't the Citadel. The is it Otak IEMK? Is that the name of the constellation? I think that's the name of the constellation.
I think
So-
you might be right. I think that
It is
I
OTAC
think I
EIMK,
have the
yes.
constellation name correct. Yes, OTAC EIMK is our citadel, and NPC Delve is our tunnel out to bring resources in, and you can't interdict NPC Delve.
You
Yes, you
can
can.
by
Can't
having
interdict
hicks on
our
station.
supply routes.
You
Let's be
can.
clear
You
here.
literally
Good
put a
Stop,
hick
stop,
on
stop.
station.
Stop. Let's be clear. You can interdict it, but you can't interdict it very well.
Yeah, you're talking doing something 24/7 that's just not. It's not going to be like. It's just really fucking hard to do. And I don't want to say impossible.
It's
but
entirely possible to interdict it. It is just not possible to interdict it well enough to make a big difference.
Can I use the word hell
That is the
camp?
reality.
You guys want to hell camp the fuck out of all of NPC Delph?
So yeah, if we're talking about sieging and starving us out, you've got an issue.
Not talking about starving.
Well,
Nobody
right.
said
No,
we're going to starve you.
Marius is
Okay,
very
so-
much talking about
no,
sieging and starving
That
us
was
out.
So
Loki.
my point
Loki.
before you
Loki.
guys interrupted me was that so a siege generally involves some form of weakening of from the inside because you can't get shit in. Okay, that's usually just how it works. In this game, it's not really gonna work that way. That was my entire point before everybody fucking interrupted me. And then like, oh my god, I'm bringing up IRL. Oh my god.
hey Taylor,
Okay,
I appreciate
so-
what you're saying, but Beyonce.
Y'all want to just have a fight
So
in like
there is-
ETAC D or something?
So there is
Just
that
settle
point,
this?
and then there's also the other point, which is if you can't actually destroy the goon supers, I mean, you've obviously offset them considerably, and no one's going to underestimate that. But if the supers remain, then eventually the goons are going to be able to go and do something. And if they do, they're going to be able to respond with super force when anybody come in. So like my point kind of is like you are offsetting them considerably, but you haven't really dealt with the root of the problem.
Real weird way to say that you agree with me.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I don't agree with you, Bill, at all. The thing is like, I'm just trying to weave
the narrative-
through. I'm trying to weave through all the bullshit that's been spun here and just kind of like,
And also,
make a point. But
I don't know if I recall correctly, I haven't really strayed away from the original opinion or narrative of myself, which is just survive.
Okay, I don't know if you know, but quite literally everything on the stream is bullshit.
This isn't like this isn't facts and
Tell
logic.
us what
it
you
doesn't
really
have to-
feel.
It doesn't have to.
So
be,
why did you
Volvin.
show
It
up
really
if you
doesn't
just
have
wanted
to
to say it was bullshit? Like this
Yeah,
isn't a
Volvin,
bullshit
very
stream. Most of this.
Redline everything that happens in Eve, quite literally, except for the game.
Why am I not interrupting you when you talk when you're interrupting me? Like I don't get it. Like you come in here and you just say it's all bullshit, but it's not bullshit because it's something that we all actively participate in. Just because you don't actively participate in it and you're constantly looking for another way out of whatever you're doing, like don't project that shit onto us, man. We're having fun. We're having a good chat about this shit. You can't just come in here and say it's all bullshit. Everything you're doing is bullshit. It is bullshit, but I will say, Bill, that you have stuck to your narrative of just surviving. But I will say that is not really a valid win condition. I mean, it kind of is, but it's kind of also a shitty win condition.
Well, it's not like a win condition by any means.
It's a
But the point
not
is, like,
lose
you
condition?
you guys have definitely killed a bunch of shit. Like, if you stop today, it would be very commendable about like how much you actually killed, right? Like that's fine. But at the end of all of this, right? If the goons still have their supers and supers are going to cost a fuckload of ES, you haven't really imposed them as much as I guess you could have. Maybe is my point. And I understand I'm not I'm not part of this. It's just that as a fan, I'd like to see I don't know like something, but it's whatever.
Dunk, why do you hate shit?
Quite happily.
Yeah.
I just want to say I'll quite happily turn up to streams like this, streams like Theta Thursday, even Push to Talk, which I'm a very regular contributor on. I'll turn up to these things and just I turn up to these things to have fun. I'll chat shit forever about whatever
yeah, dude.
topics you guys want to talk about, whatever the fuck. And yeah, I have a position that I'm gonna take because I have space jobs and I actually appreciate the community that I'm part of. I really like that community. I want to make sure that community is the best community that it can be. But I turn up to these things to chat shit, and so if you don't think that I don't know that the vast majority of anything that comes out of my mouth on a live stream is utter bullshit that is designed to basically just contradict or counter things that other people are saying.
See,
you're fucking delusional.
This is a lot of words to just say, "Hey, I'm a propaganda artist."
Hey, I'm just making this all up.
I think the point here is like that most of you are propaganda artists, honestly, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to. I mean, I don't know to what extent I am, except when we're actually talking about like my group. But in these cases, like I'm not acting like with some political agenda. I'm literally trying to get to the bottom of things ish. Reliant on your guys' cooperation through all the rhetoric and all the other shit.
Dirk,
But at the end of the day, it is actually an art form, though. Like Dirk is kind of right in a lot of ways, an art form to be able to, like, when you're actually talking about something without like a script, it's actually very difficult to stick to something, I suppose.
Yeah, it's
to some
punditry.
degree. Like, right, it's a skill, which is why I've actually really enjoyed being on these shows. It's something I wanted to develop, I think. It's very difficult, like to talk, to continue to. I don't know if everyone has some fucking grand plan when they start opening their mouths, but like I certainly don't. And I'm pretty sure that's fucking apparent. But
Well,
it
to
is
be
definitely
fair,
it is
to
a
be
cultivatable skill, right?
But to be fair, right, a lot of all this meta and narrative and propaganda and punditry and all that, it's part of the game. It's an essential part of what we're playing. If it was only pixels in space clicking stuff and seeing it blow up, it's like that would be boring as fuck, at least to me.
Speaking
That's
of
why
meta,
I
I'd
love.
like
That's
to
why
ask,
I loved.
hey, Loki, you've had your time, okay, buddy? Okay, pal?
I was just gonna say to Caleb's point.
You've
That's
had
why
way more
I
your time,
loved.
Bill.
Can I one sec? I just want to say that to Caleb's point, that's why when Redline brought up the whole like this is what I want to do and this is what we're doing kind of thing, I fucking loved it because you're very right. It does play into. It's an important part of you.
I want to know why Doc hates my people. By my people, I mean shit posters.
Good people.
I think it's just because he loves
I
to hate.
I don't hate them. I simply was trying to reorient them to the reality that they're facing.
That
Yeah,
was
very
really
sad.
well said.
Didn't you yourself become a shit poster in that moment?
No, not at all a shit poster, because everything I said was 100% accurate.
Reality isn't a perception, right?
Well, is what I said incorrect? Is Angry Nick Games going to win this war or save the Imperium?
I don't know. I did flip one guy up in GOTG one time, making a good enough. True story. But
I just want to
long
say, even though this show is called Trash Talk Tuesday, I love to hate all of you.
That's cool.
Sweet. Hey,
Colvin,
Loki.
why are you? This has been said before, but why are you here if you're just trying to like
There's
craft?
What did he? I didn't hear what he said. Did he say something?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Grab.
just said we hate you too.
Oh, you're quiet.
Yeah, were you in Banana Republic? Were you with Banana Republic in Sakenta in the fight today in Poshven?
Wait, what?
You with the Banana Republic, your group in Sakenta in Poshven today?
I don't know if anyone in my corporation, Banana Republic, was in Poshven today. They
I'm
may have
staring
been.
right at the battle report. Banana Republic Inc. That's you guys, right?
No, it's not us. No.
No, he's Banana Republic Ltd.
Oh, you're LTD.
No, no,
Sorry.
I'm Banana Republic dash. Okay, I'm Banana dash Republic dot. That's who we are.
Okay.
I have a question. I have a question
Let's put
for
it this.
Cable.
Let's put it this way.
It's the
I'm
dot
pretty.
that
I'm
does
pretty
it.
sure. I'm pretty sure. No, it's because literally when I tried to do Banana Republic, because it is a political state that is really unstable, which I thought described us perfectly. And they have very little exports, also describes us perfectly. It's a joke.
Not very little, very
it's a play on a shit group. Like that's what it is, right? So it's like if I was gonna make a group, it's like a very bad group to be part of. That was the joke. It's just that everyone had taken those things. I kind of had to resort to those kinds of things. So
You're
I
in Dread
realize
Bombs. Was it
now.
really a joke?
I realize now, having pom-pommed for the last 50 episodes or 48 episodes on this show, I'm probably recruiting a whole bunch of people to all of their other corporations. So what needs to happen is if you'd like to join my organization, please go on Zkill, type in my name, Loki Choco Chips, very simple, and figure out what actual corp I'm part of so that you can then join. Thank you.
No, don't do that.
Because
Join.
we are recruiting.
I have a question for Caleb. Caleb, do you think that the Imperium is in a stronger strategic and or tactical position than they were, say, when Pappy had just breached like Quirius and had kind of started making plays into Delve through the
I'm not delusional. I would say that the war objective that Dunk was kind of pointing out is very potentially near achieved. The Imperium is definitely weakened strategically in the game, but the problem is that they might actually come out in a scenario where they benefit from it, because the server reset is great, and as I've said to Villy on many occasions, I think what Villy and Pappy is doing is almost God's work, because they're cleaning out the red team project that the Delve Miracle was. Delve Miracle was horrible for the game and it needed to be killed, right? And that's successfully.
I'm really glad that
That's successfully done. Well, I think they are strategically weakened, but they still have too much that needs to be deleted out of the game before it's healthy.
That was not at all my question, but thank you for answering whatever you were currently thinking. What about you, Dirk?
Sorry, what about me?
Do you think that the Imperium is in a strategically or tactically better position than they were at the start? Now it's the start of the war, the midpoint of the war, when
I need a timeline point.
When we had just taken Quirius and we're starting to go. What even is the in system to delve?
I don't know what timeline point.
There's a couple. There's SVM.
4 months in, 6 months in, 8
I don't know.
I
don't keep track of time.
So
like we've been doing this for long enough now that I need a
so
specific
Dirk,
like timeline.
The timeline was when we had just taken Quirius, and we're invading Delve through 8QT. That is your timeline.
When was this? Like,
I don't know when it was. I just know it was when we were going to 8QT and going into Delve. I'm asking you a simple question. When that was happening, irregardless of when it occurred,
It's not a word.
do you think that the Imperium is in a stronger position than it was when we were going in through 8QT?
Yes, I think that.
So this was
I
for your
think
timeline.
we're
This
in a
was
very
September
different-
2020, by the way.
No, December 2020. Okay, are we in
September,
a stronger position
September.
now than September 2020? Okay, thank you, Redline, for clarifying that.
You're welcome. I wrote a great article with a synopsis of the whole story so far, and I'm just pulling from it from reference.
Appreciate that. Do I think that we're in a better strategic or tactical position compared to September 2020? Strategically, I would not say that we are in a better or worse situation, on the simple basis that strategy changes dependent upon how the situation is. You change your strategy on a day-to-day basis. These meetings happen on a day-to-day basis, and we adjust. A better or worse strategic situation.
Could you just say yes or no? God damn it, Dirk.
No, because then you don't have a show, for fuck's sake.
In terms of a tactical situation,
The show ended an hour and 12 minutes ago.
I think
No,
we're
it
in a
didn't.
better tactical situation.
How?
Because we have far less to respond to. We have far
Is that
less
worse?
we have. I think it's better tactically because we have less to respond to. We don't have to worry about Quarius.
We didn't have to
don't
worry
have
about Quarius anyway. We didn't respond to it
basis. We
anyways.
don't have to worry about Fountain.
But is that a
we
strength or
had
is that a
those
weakness?
concerns previously. At
That
the
is
time,
definitely a
September
weakness.
2020, we had Fountain concerns. We had Quarius concerns. We had
You didn't have
period
Fountain
basis
concerns. Goons didn't go up and help
We
initiative.
did have Fountain concerns, and you
All that
telling me that we
bullshit,
didn't have
man.
Fountain concerns is hilarious.
So
but
you're
carry on
saying that
telling
you
me what
I
we
don't
didn't
understand
have
how you
about
saying
concerns,
that
but,
you've
carry
lost a
on.
bunch of
Here
theaters means that you're in a
we
better position.
go. So
Tactically,
what
yeah,
he's saying,
tactically,
Dirk, can I say what you're
Let him
saying?
answer. Just let him
Right.
answer.
Yeah.
Just let him.
Literally, you asked me if we were in a better tactical and strategic situation. Tactically, on the day-to-day, we have less to worry about, we have less to respond to, and therefore we are in a better tactical situation.
Is that true?
Strategically, I can't answer that
Hold on, it is true, bud.
with any positive aspect because strategically it depends upon what our enemies do. It depends upon what we do and they respond to. It depends upon how we want to approach the next 2 to 3 months of this war as we anticipate it
the
to
next
be
year of this-
moving. You know, strategic
So
planning is
bound the strategy
incredibly long term, and strategic planning is never just like
Found
the
the
next
concept
3
of
months.
strategy
It's
as surviving
where
in
do
an
we
alliance. If
where,
that's
where
the
do we
strategy, then how answer the question relative to the strategy surviving as alliance? Because a lot of times the whole argument
surviving as
revolves
an
around
alliance? I don't think
stronger
we
or weaker
are.
strategically in that regard.
In terms of surviving as an alliance, I do not think that we have ever been stronger on that strategic point.
Okay.
We've
So-
seen a lot of people, dip away, bleed away from the alliance across the last few months.
So you have less.
We're getting back to that core that Saarinen showed us that we could have. But
So
we've had new players since then. We have new blood learning how that core works, how that core of a community works. And so strategically on that point, Rundle, I think we are stronger now than we were in September of 2020.
So that's one end of the spectrum. Strategically, in the ability to project your force anywhere you want in the game. If that's the strategy,
That
where
wasn't the
you know,
question.
strategically in regards to that.
That wasn't the question though. Jeremy was asking a stupid question.
No, I want to
Obviously,
point
it's
out.
much.
No.
Obviously, it's
Jeremy
much
has a habit of
easier.
asking stupid questions.
I
so-
realize
How
that.
Jeremy
So
frame it.
obviously, it's much easier to defend like a constellation than it is to defend like 6 walk-in regions, right? Obviously. So the question was poorly termed. Their strategic ability to go anywhere is 0. Correct. Like you're right, Rundle. Okay.
That's
But at the
not
same
true.
time,
So-
We
you guys are
can go
conflating.
anywhere we
You
want.
guys are
what the whole-
conflating. You guys are conflating what a siege IRL is versus what a siege in Eve is. I think because you think
I
like
wanna-
somehow
I moved
they're
right
like
past that.
weakened on a personal level. They're not.
To discuss the power projection, Rundle's not wrong. You're not wrong, Loki. We cannot project outside of Delve at this point.
But there's no incentive to do that.
Because power projection relies upon having a power base that is secure. If we were to project outside of Delve, we would lose Delve. That's the real talk here. If we were to project outside of Delve, we lose Delve.
That's
And
correct.
Our projection outside of Delve, would have to be an admission that we had lost Delve. We don't believe that, but we cannot project outside of Delve within our super capital umbrella.
Right, which is a very nuanced, but yeah, exactly.
So
that's
the
what
next-
I meant when I
the-
said
the-
it's 0. That's what I meant though. Like to be
The
clear.
crux of my argument is what you've just admitted, Dirk, that you are losing members, that you are losing space, that you have
We're not
less
losing
members. But no, you said that
You
you
are losing members.
You literally said yourself that you're getting down to quote unquote the core of Goon Swarm, being the people who just won't leave. Thereby, you are losing people by unless you have just made like stated something completely false. You have admitted to losing members, to losing space and structures, to having less to deal about, right? So, again, by your own admission, that you have lost in every measurable increment of this war. Thank you for your
Measurable increment.
Those
That's an
sounds of a lot of
interesting
people
way,
to
because you
other
still haven't taken 1 DQ, so...
Oh man, here
you
we go.
don't talk about every measurable increment, you're just
So-
outright wrong.
So
But
you
now
are-
we're getting
let
into
me-
the
hold on.
really
Not
fun
a-
part of these
Dirk-
things.
Dirk,
because
Can I
we're
ask-
talking
Dirky,
about
sweetie, Dirk.
definitions
Can I
of
please talk
words.
about strategy? Because
Can
none
I
of you
ask?
motherfuckers
Can
seem
I
to
ask
know
a
what it
different
is.
question? No,
Sorry,
no, whoa, whoa, whoa. Can
No,
I just please
I'm
ask
trying
a
to
different
say
question?
something real quick before you do.
Sorry,
So Dirk, you like we have like every goalpost that you have set, we have reached. The only one that we haven't reached yet is literally 1DQ. Like at first
Our
it was
goalpost?
yes, yours. So at first it was you'll never take fountain, you'll never break into period basis.
I
Test
kind of
is
wish Billy
weak.
was here for this.
I mean, it is
Because you
true.
can see where this is going, Redline.
I mean, where is it going? Where is it
The,
going?
the counter argument is that Villy said that they want to exterminate goons, and therefore that isn't.
Sure,
just
but
a
by your own
defines
account,
a war goal?
there's
Impossible. That is a
102
completely
different alliances
impossible
involved in the war.
You would reiterate that that
And
was
therefore,
a quote
we've
taken
all
out of
been moving our
context.
goalposts. I'm quite
It
happy
was
to
a
admit
quote in
we've all been moving our
context. What are
goalposts.
you talking about?
Dirk,
It was
if
literally
I
quoted
may-
in an article.
If I
That's
may,
true.
in support of you, Dirk, like, Villy's probably never going to remove goons from the game. Is he going to remove them from space? Yeah, I could see that.
For the
But
minute.
Can I just point
Overall.
something out real quick before we continue? Okay, we
talk
have
so much,
goons.
though.
We have goons on this show. Okay, and they come to talk about and have some trash talk and have some fun banter and shit like that. If you're looking for them to admit defeat on the show, that's not going to happen. It's an unrealistic fucking thing, and it's really stupid, guys. Like, come on.
But
So
it's really
Loki.
fun.
We like
It's
to
really fun, Loki.
I want to
Like
say
super
real
fun.
quick.
I guess, but
They
no,
drink
but
their
we
own
shouldn't
Kool-Aid.
be like
Bill-
pressure
Bill-
cooking.
Bill has been trying to say something for about the past 3 minutes, and I cut him off unreasonably before, and he hasn't had a chance to say things up till now. So, Bill, what is it that you had to say on this whole topic?
No, this was your show.
I just want to say that I think that Imperium, realistically, no spin, whatever, is that we're currently in the strongest state of the war that we've been in. And that the majority, I personally felt as if all roads would eventually lead to the current point of which we are in the war. And that simply slowing you down would work as a better strategy than, like, if you had come in and headshot 1DQ, that probably would have been a disaster. Oh, we were much spread out. We were spread out all over the fucking place. Like, we didn't have
What are
anywhere.
you even talking about? There was never a possibility that you can come in and headshot 1DQ.
Yeah,
It's just not something that can mean.
There was.
That doesn't mean anything.
Like
What are
no,
you
like
saying?
like stop.
It's
Like
physically
how
impossible.
in the world do you imagine we go in and headshot 1DQ while you're at full strength?
Oh, the same way you headshot all the
When we
other
have no
Q-stars.
supply lines,
It's not headshotting.
no. You stage here. There is a fundamental difference between what is in 1DQ and outside of 1DQ, right? And there is a fundamental difference to the strength of the defense in 1DQ with the iHubbed the Fortizar iHubbed system, layout of the constellation, the defense in depth. Like saying that, oh yeah, you could have just went in and headshot 1DQ. It ignores all reality about the supply lines and the build up and everything that's taken place.
You would have. I think that a 1DQ headshot attempt would have been more successful.
There is no attempt. How do you get the
Marius,
super
I'm glad that I wasn't talking, but I appreciate it. Because
you're talking nonsense.
coming from you.
Yes, coming from me.
What the fuck? I
I'm the
was saying.
fucking village idiot, but you're the guy that scored a -1 on his SAT.
So,
okay,
so
I
Bill,
don't
even
care
though he's
what you
yelling,
think
and I don't
know.
know why he's yelling, but he does make a pretty valid
get back
point
to the
where
Let's talk
like
get back
there
to the important
was
topic of is anyone building capitals?
So there was no realistic opportunity to headshot 1DQ. Like if you think about it, if it was something where we even tried it, like it would have been a shield timer. And everybody would have logged in, done their thing. And even if you didn't, there's no way that the armor timer would have been followed up on or would have been able to be followed up on. And at that point, we wouldn't have had any strategic opportunity to do it just because of the sheer amount of stuff that is in there. Like, you didn't have your super capitals deployed somewhere else. Everything was right there, and if we would have gone for it, it would have been a disaster, not for you, but for us.
Well,
just instantly.
I
Can I bring
disagree,
up-
and I think that.
Okay, so you disagree. Why do you disagree? How would you have done it, Bill?
Oh,
I
here.
probably would have. I would have come in through Aquarius like y'all did, and then immediately set up shop. Either actually probably Saarinen or come through Aquarius, set up shop in NPC Delve, and then I would have gone for Windy Q.
Had a few brewskis
Where
on
are
the
you
way.
hitting these caps?
Well, no, let's just stop. Mary, just shut up for a sec. So you're set up an NPC Delve. So how do I reinforce Windy Q?
Same way you reinforce everything else. Like you just overwhelm with N+1. We were spread out enough at that point to I probably shouldn't be talking. I shouldn't be talking about this.
Oh yeah, I shouldn't be
Let
talking
me tell
about these
you
things that don't exist.
real
Let's be clear
to be
here.
honest.
It's so
No,
easy
no,
to
no.
literally Sino-Jammer lock an entire region. Like, oh yeah, you could have just went to Windy Q. It's like, how am I going to get caps to Windy Q? How am I going to get sub-caps to Windy Q? You can't even just move sub-cap fleets to Windy Q without going through like what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Sino-Jammers? Like what? I'm just going to gate 8 jumps to get to Windy Q every way for my reinforcements, and that's going to work?
I'm just saying that there are certain ways that you could have approached the situation. I just don't think that this whole
No, you
long
could have wormholed
restricting
it. Yep.
This reminds me.
I'm just
This reminds
saying.
me when PL would tell me that there was ways to defeat their super.
So like
That's 1.0.
as
That's what it reminds you of. But thank you all. Hope you have a good night. Please get the vaccine if you can. And I'm gonna go do some work
Hey,
now.
Dunk. Hey, Dunk.
Yes.
I'm with Dunk on that. Get the vaccine when you can, because
What?
the only way we all get to meet up and have drinks and chat shit
does that-
over beer is getting your 5G implant.
Does that mean
Get the
everyone
5G
else,
implant
everyone's
when
gonna
you
be more fucking autistic than they already are? Because
Let me tell you about the vaccine.
What? Hold on.
I already have it
What
with
did
you.
Marius have to say to Dunk
No,
before you get
stop.
off on this?
I just wanted to know, has anyone built a cap?
I know one person.
Yeah.
Anyways,
This is what I'm trying to find out is the state of industry, because
1%.
I talk to a lot of industry people, and most of the people I talk to are waiting on all the capital building and battleship building to see if the prices drop of the material. So I was interesting to hear.
If I may, after this war, there's probably going to be a lot of dreadnoughts on the market. There may not be, but there probably are gonna be. And
I haven't
if that's the
finalized my
case,
spreadsheet yet.
I would
so-
not. I would not want to be the guy building the 9 billion-esque fucking dreadnought or whatever it costs now, versus and selling it and not selling it, and then waiting for that to
directly-
happen, and then being in a position where oopsie daisy, I just wasted a bunch of my ISK.
To directly answer Dunk's question, I know a bunch of people who have built capitals, who are building capitals. As far as I'm aware, none of them have burned through their pre-change stockpile yet.
Well, I built a bunch of capitals when it was minerals only, just before the change, right?
Yeah,
to just get them stocked up. But in the post change, when you have to build the different components with the wormhole gas and the PI, that's what I'm interested in, is to see how that's going.
I know one person.
Well, presumably everybody did that, and so to go ahead and build those things at current prices, I don't know if that's a smart thing to do.
It's probably just
Unless you
just multi-boxing all of it and building them all at once, right?
I mean,
I don't think anyone that can actually afford to
it's-
put it in the cooker
multi-boxers.
would have done so yet, because
Right, so
that's
the
a
only-
bad idea.
Right. So the only thing I've had to build in the quote new industry is capital construction parts, because they're needed for certain SOV things that you make, iHub upgrades, right? So you need that part. And that capital construction, if you didn't have them all stockpiled, which I had a bunch, but not enough, I've had to make those with the new components. So that increases the cost. But it's, again, supply, demand. Are we going to see an increase in the supply, which would lower the cost, which makes it more reasonable to build this? And that's what I think everyone's waiting to see. Or are people like me starting to try and look for deals and hoard some of these materials and just draw them off the market? And that's what's just unclear to me what's going on right now.
That is what is pulling. That's actually what is delaying the hype cycle to actually start sloping. It's because people are hoarding So they're keeping it high.
I don't think that we'll be able to make a good guesstimate or analysis of that until the war is over, really. Until everybody's back in their own corner somewhere, some way, doing their crabbing shenanigans in order to.
Goons are in low sec, evicted from 1DQ. Yeah.
Shit, we may get richer in low sec than low sec.
Before we get off the vaccine topic real quick, if you live in the Dallas, Texas area, my doctor told me today that I was there that she has to throw away her Moderna shots. She is not giving enough vaccine. So if for some reason you don't have the vaccine yet and you want to get it, you and your family want it, find me in game. If you live in the Dallas, Texas area, I'll give you the name of the doctor. Make an appointment. Get your vaccine. She's chucking this stuff away.
As much as I love the vaccine talk, we're sticking with EU stuff. It's just
right.
a thing.
I don't want to even talk about regional stuff. Just like if you want the vaccine, call your doctor. That's it.
What if we don't want it?
See what they can do for you.
Then shut the fuck up.
Why wouldn't you want it?
I just want to say something contrarian, honestly.
No, just shut the fuck up. We don't.
Can we not have a fucking political debate on vaccines right now? Like,
We're not. We're just. I'm literally just saying we're not going to talk about it. So
we all play Eve, so we're all autistic and don't get the side effects.
I picked up. I'm going to state a fact. Kenny got kicked out of Germany today. It was great. It was wonderful. And Goons did nothing really in 1DQ area. So congrats to you people.
You want a real strategy on how you could have just beat us with no effort?
I built more mines.
Does not attack us at all. We would have just killed ourselves out of boredom. But y'all had to invigorate half the group. So good job on that one. Honestly, the whole game was stagnating and Goons were trying to find some way to keep themselves entertained. But y'all just made it real easy. You just done nothing.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys would have all just disbanded if we would have done nothing.
Disbanded, but it would be
actually if we hadn't been farmed so hard from the NPC Dell, we probably would have ended up in another decline situation.
You weren't being farmed.
Yes, they were.
Oh, fuck, of course we were. Have you looked at the Z kills? Like supers died. 1 to 2 supers died every day until we stopped undocking super because of the fucking super changes. Rookwolves died.
Oh yes. So, but per capita, right? Were you losing more ships per capita for your member base than other alliances? I would find it hard. I would find it hard on a per capita basis that you're actually losing more stuff than other people.
Jeremy, there are battle reports for how many supers we lost on a daily basis.
Also,
losing
supers in the works.
You can have one fight and have a battle report.
The ratio of Rorquals and supers they lost compared to the rest of the galaxy for the amount of usage they got was the lowest, if not one of the lowest in the game. Well, Mecha was the one who all enlightened us on that one.
Yeah, but that's not because
are we literally having a pissing contest over who's better at losing? Is that what we're doing?
It's because you guys didn't get your fucking heads out of your asses until the Goons were 2 years on a track to like fucking win the game. That was really the point. When I say you guys, I mean I guess no block.
No. Remember, Loki, that's really offensive to say that anybody else could have done what we done, because apparently we were so bad at oppressing the rest of the game with our SIGs, our mighty SIGs of 60-man fleets. We're able to oppress the rest of the game from making money. Clearly, we are the bad.
I think that there was a point. There was definitely a point where
That's what you said last.
So to begin with, you guys got out of the Casino War or World War B or whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? You're pretty fucked up. Everyone left you alone for a really long fucking time. You developed a really good industrial base. People within your organization figured out, hey, this is how we do things. This is the best possible way to do it. And they enacted that. And they did that for a while and nobody fucking touched them because everybody in Nullsec was like, well, we beat the Goons, high fives, and there's a whole bunch of other shit to worry about. And while that happened, yeah, you guys grew and grew and grew. And eventually you got to a point where with Rorquals and skill injectors, you had a lot of fucking help from CCP on that, by the way. And you had capitals, you had dreadnoughts, you had supers, you had a lot more than you did like 2 years previously. We'll put it that way. And so then you began to execute that across the map. And I totally get that.
Where?
And I totally
one area.
I mean,
One area.
X47 was
No.
the first.
Well, right.
X47 was really the tipping point where we were all like, "Holy fuck!" Like the goons got a lot of shit, right? And you guys got there in like only a couple of years with CCP's help. Let's be honest, and you guys were really the only ones to game it early on.
You
So
all heard
I'm going to give you a
our
whole bunch of
fire
credit there.
side.
There's a whole bunch of credit there because you guys were the only ones to game it early on, right? You had like NC Dot who are a nomadic fucking super group, PL who are a nomadic fucking super group. Nobody wanted to let a bunch of scrubs into their alliance to do things that they didn't want to do, which was like industry and shit, right? They had their industrial guys, they had their crabs, they were good. And for a long time, until eventually they had to begin to lower their standards of recruitment. And that is literally a history of what went on. So, like,
we invested in our infrastructure.
I don't understand when I say that Dawn gets really defensive. She shouldn't. It's like it's actually a giant compliment. The goons did something
No, I'm
that
more
no other
offended
group
by
was
the
ever
other
able to
people
think of.
who get huffy puffy that we
Structure's
played
gone
the
now.
game better than you guys.
So you're more offended by
And
the other people
Ted,
who aren't saying
and
anything right
so
now?
Don,
many
why are
groups
you yelling?
But once
benefited
you
from
guys made your giant dicks, you swung it around the map a little bit, and a lot
We
of people got really, really butthurt.
the left side of the map.
Don,
I don't want
Don,
to hear it. No,
Don,
I don't
you
want to hear it.
did.
whining.
Don,
Listen, Test,
Don, you did.
Test made out amazing because of this deal, because they could buy supers from us for cheap, and we wouldn't
Yes,
do
I
anything
mean,
against
so
them,
did
right?
Snuff.
Snuff
So did
now has
Snuff. So
Snuff
did
entire
Snuff.
super fleet was
So did
made by
it.
goons.
So did Snuff. Yes.
Wait, I'm pretty sure
terrible.
that the tribute happened after they tried to hit one of our keep stores up north, if I recall correctly.
I have no idea on that part, but like the fact that we
Tribute came
swung our
after
fists
you
everywhere.
realized X47.
Yo,
We,
this is
we
not.
literally
This is,
went and hit GOTG area twice. We didn't go over to Kavala Expanse. We didn't go over to Owasso. We didn't go to anywhere near.
this should not be
That's
a
enough. We
question
left
of.
Legacy.
This should
So
not be a question of your moral
in the world
integrity,
you
Don.
guys
How
do?
dare
Don.
you compliment me,
Don't
Loki?
Don,
understand why you
Don.
guys think we went around the map fucking people
He's
in the ass.
No,
super
you
butthurt.
didn't.
no. You did not go
Breaking a vein.
around the map. You executed your power in very specific ways, which pissed off a lot of people. All right, let's be honest.
Oh, I'm sorry we shot GOTG.
No.
And then
I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. You did exactly what you were supposed to do with the hand of cards that you were given. Unfortunately, it pissed off a whole bunch of people, and all those people have now decided that they don't want you to be what you were, and so now we're in this situation. All right, that's literally how it is. It's fine. It's fine. Like you guys
It's a
played your hand
natural
of cards.
cycle.
You did a very good job. Yeah, exactly. And eventually everybody else. It's like a high school bully went around and beat the shit out of everybody because they could, and then eventually the nerds figure out, hey, we could totally take this guy if we get him at the knees, and that's what they did. All right, like it's fine. It doesn't mean that you're not strong.
Here's the funny thing. Just imagine if Minza said, "Yeah, I'll help you invade the drone regions." Where would we be right now? Like, it's some alternate reality talking about
Why, like if NC Dot had tried to move their shit into Malpaz and then they
no, because
and followed in a meaningful way.
apparently
No, before
I mean-
this war.
Hey, let's go attack
Before
drones.
this war was decided.
Well, once they glass tribute, like NC Dot took all their shit and moved to Malpaz with PL and all that, right?
No, in March of
They wanna do
of last year.
that
Oh,
you
okay,
decided
that's what you're referring to.
That's what they're talking about. Is that because we didn't want to do, make a blue donut and go attack drones with Legacy. We decided to go do our own thing and promote, once again, fun content around the map. They decided that everybody needed to group up against us because we're the evil Goonies. Suck a
I would
dick.
have to go. I have to
Do you know?
go back
Okay,
and,
y'all want to know
look at
the
that,
real thing that happened here? So whoever was the Diplo for test wouldn't rub shoulders with Goblins like, hey, you want to go shoot something? And Goblin go, yeah. What do you want to shoot? And they just said goons.
No,
And
that's
that's
not
how
really.
the war
That's
happened.
not really what happened because like Test and NC Dot and PL were all in it with Darkness, right? Like that's really where this whole thing kind of came about. So Tino, the Till Tino campaign, and we got someplace, and then FRT came in, and then we really got someplace because then Ranger Regiment couldn't really execute their power, and you know, everything was timed in fucking like Chinese time zone, so like they ended up just like it was a route
Great.
after that,
It was
right?
fun. I actually had a blast.
Yeah, I mean, so did I. So did I. I was actually actively participating in that in NC dot, and I FC'd a whole bunch of shit. So it was really good. Like, and I totally, you know, I was kind of happy to see Test for once, which was pretty funny. But at the you know, at the end of that, yeah, sure. I mean, you were like loosely allies. I think that the goons showed a lot of weakness. They really, really did. They drove off a lot of their FCs, and I know nobody wants to say this because it's very controversial, but Loki can say it because I'm not in a quote unquote null block at the moment. So I believe ASP pretty much like kicked the fuck out of goons. Like there was like a series of routes, like system after system after system. You guys got into these fights with Pandemic Horde and you couldn't win. And like Mike Flood was a new FC, and I was like this whole fucking thing. And I think that's where the goons showed a lot of weakness. They ended up getting rid of a lot of the FCs that made them successful. And at that point, I believe it is my belief, and I'm not going to say that this is how it is, but it is my belief that obviously everyone else saw weakness and went for it because the goons had significantly pissed off a large portion of the map.
Well, we saw the brewings of this war kind of earlier in 2020. Let me check my history real quick, and I can tell you.
It wasn't 2020.
2019. 2019 during the UFC scuffle, the United Federation of Conference, it was almost like a proxy war to this war. And I remember the last fleet I ever did with Alpha Star Pilot. I was in Horde, and we were actually flying with Test Blues, and we were like, I don't remember what we did. I think we were shooting some kind of structure or whatever. And
we were
it was
defending Kamal.
yeah, so it was something like that. I'm glad you remember Saker. But and I just kind of got the feeling that it was like some like, to use a sports term, is a preseason training event for a later occurrence.
I hate you for saying that.
I can't use the allegory which I wanted to use because they would be mad at me, but
neat.
So how late is this show gonna go? Because holy shit.
Forever.
4
I mean,
hours.
just about this late, because I'm
Ever?
ready to turn in and put myself to bed.